Pokémon. Starting with Greninja. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 375. The Dog Awakens. Lucario has always believed that he is the best and the most suitable partner for Sirona, but until he met the frog that frightened him all his life, and the man who was his lifelong enemy. To be honest, Lucario never thought that he would fall out of favor, and that there would be someone more important than himself in Sirona's heart. But now, there is. Although he hates that man, Lucario also knows that this is Sirona's lover and the support of Sirona in the future, so he had to take the initiative to accept that guy. Some time ago, because the man couldn't participate in the competition, he was bored and trained the Lebite land shark. As a result, Lucario was inexplicably involved and was arranged for a month. To be honest, this may be the worst month Lucario has ever had in his life. Every day, he either runs errands for the three holy clouds, or serves as a sparring partner for the blue frog, or does hard labor. Life is miserable. But fortunately, Lucario survived anyway, freed from suffering. Looking at the opponent in front of him, Lucario's eyes gradually became sharp. Today, he must win. What, you ask? What is the causal relationship between being free and having to win? Last night, just last night, the man's elf, the blue frog, suddenly ran over to tell Lucario, if he loses today's game, then Lucario will spend the next year with that man. The devil smiled at Lucario, and Lucario was stunned. He immediately made up his mind that he would win the game even if he died tomorrow. There is nothing to say, that man is Zumyu. In fact, what he said to Sirona yesterday was nonsense. Just listening to your words is like Zhuangzi's purification. It's no different from not saying anything. But I didn't expect Sirona and the others to seem to be inspired. Zumyu's worries are over. With this IQ, do you still expect them to come up with a way to defeat the opponent? Forget it. Let's do it yourself. If you want to defeat your opponent, you have to solve the problem from the root. What is the root? In a battle between elves, elves are the root. Zumyu believes that after Lucario's training, he will have the strength of an early master after a mega evolution. In this case, if this guy can still lose, it is definitely because he, the trainer, is not good enough. However, Zumyu thinks he can do it. Therefore, Lucario cannot lose. It is so direct, and Lucario will go berserk at the beginning. Sirona, leave this battle to me. Lucario turned around and clenched his right fist towards Sirona, showing that he is very powerful. Then, he started Mega Evolution directly. Sirona was a little confused. Was Lucario stimulated by something? But since this guy asked for a fight, there was no reason to disagree. Okay, then you be careful. I will give you command at the critical moment. Sirona and Lucario grew up together, so naturally there is no such thing as not listening to orders. The reason why Lucario wanted to fight alone this time was because Sirona's command was to ensure victory in the most reliable way, but this cannot bring out all his current strength. To put it bluntly, the 99 teammates behind him were a bit of a drag, and Sirona was too embarrassed to say it directly, so she could only keep accommodating them. Sirona was sorry, but Lucario didn't care about this. After getting Sirona's consent, Lucario smiled, no longer paying attention to the 99 teammates behind him. He stepped forward directly. Fitness, fitness, fitness. Lucario learned this trick from Dragonite by using 3 consecutive strengthening skills at the beginning. According to Dragonite's explanation, skills like Dragon Dance or Meditation must be mastered to the bone. You can even use them when you sleep. Why? Because strengthening is life. As long as the strengthening is done well, it is inevitable to kill people above your level. Dragonite used his countless personal experiences to completely clarify the idea of future battles for Lucario. That is to strengthen, strengthen, and strengthen again, and then harvest 1 against 6. It's that simple. So after such a long time with Zumyu, Lucario has improved in other aspects, and the most important thing is that he has learned to release strengthening skills quickly. Look, the other side just gave the order and prepared to attack. Lucario has completed 3 bodybuildings, and his attack and defense are raised by 3 gears at the same time. Speed. Lucario rushed directly to the opponent's king-level Pokémon Blue King with the wind under his feet. He started with a spiral wave missile. The effect was outstanding. Blue King screamed and flew backwards before he could react. Quick, heal Blue King. Villain Panda, go up and resist Lucario. Proceed as planned. Seeing that Lucario was powerful, the commander of the Oriental Academy shouted and used the tactics arranged before to try to hold Lucario back. Villain Panda dragged his bulky body forward and prepared to use the million-ton punch to attack Lucario. But, Lucario can tolerate this. With your agility, you'd better find a factory to go back to work. Pokémon battles are not suitable for you. Esports. Being bad is the original sin. Lucario sneered and didn't give his opponent any face. He used Shadow Clone to create 7 or 8 identical copies of himself. Lucario avoided the villain Panda and continued to rush towards Blue King, who had just been knocked away by him. Although this Shadow Clone was not the Shadow Clone technique of Greninja and had no physical effect, it was enough to confuse the villain Panda. After avoiding the attack, Lucario used speed again. Just as Blue King was about to stand up from the ground, he saw Lucario rushing in front of him again. He immediately lay down. No need for you to come. I can fly by myself. Blue King was quite sensible and obediently exposed his butt, allowing Lucario to hit him with a fire kick and lose his ability to fight. After dealing with a king-level opponent on the opposite side, Lucario didn't even look at the villain Panda. With this guy's agility, he will never be able to catch up with Lucario in this life. Oh my god, is this Lucario? Question mark. Is the Lucario I saw before the same as this one? Can anyone explain why Lucario suddenly went berserk today? Oh my god. It turns out that our worries before were in vain. Lucario alone can take care of all the opponents. When Lucario finished showing off his skills, it was not the opponent who was shocked. It was his teammates. The contestants of Madu Academy said they were shocked. It turns out that you have been this kind of Lucario all along. Chapter 376 For Freedom. Lucario fought desperately. He could swear from the bottom of his heart that this was the most desperate fight he had ever had since he was a child. However, even though he tried so hard, his opponent was not a waste. He had to cut at least 100 times with this knife. With this time, the opponent would have enough time to attack him 50 times. As Lucario went deeper, his physical injuries began to increase slowly. Although he had been strengthened before, Lucario was not made of iron, and his physical strength began to fail. Sister-in-law, what should we do? Liu Xiao asked anxiously as he saw Lucario fighting against 100 people alone and about to fall into a passive situation. Shirona had long been accustomed to being called sister-in-law by Liu Xiao. Hearing Liu Xiao's words, Shirona answered almost without hesitation, "Look." At this time, Liu Xiao and the little bald head didn't understand. What does it mean? In normal battles, doesn't the sister-in-law pay the most attention to the safety of the elves? Shirona, who always strives to solve the opponent without injury, why did she change her temper today? How to say? Did Lucario make his sister-in-law angry last night, and was taught a lesson today? Just watch. Let Lucario fight to his heart's content. Sirona obviously misunderstood, thinking that Lucario was stimulated by something and decided to have a big fight to vent his desire to fight. In fact, Lucario didn't think so much at all. He was just miserable. With Zumu's threat, how dare he not use his full strength? Boom. A long-planned destructive death ray hit Lucario's back, and Lucario felt a pain. His back was attacked, and he stood up with gritted teeth. Lucario waved his hand and an earthquake was launched, knocking down the elves who attacked him. Afterwards, regardless of the various attacks around him, whether it was a jet of flames or 100,000 volts, Lucario disdained them all, and approached the elf again under the rain of bullets, and waved his hand to split the tiles. Bang! One after another, Lucario was hit one after another, and his physical strength dropped sharply. Bang! Taking action again, Lucario whispered in the air, the 31st one. A Pokémon was hit by his spiral wave missile and lost its combat capability. This scene of fighting was heartbreaking for others. Shirona's beautiful eyes were filled with tears and she bit her lips. Come on. Well, it's not about concern, but about persuading you to continue. In the dark, Lucario seemed to have heard Shirona's soft call and almost spit out blood to death. Am I taking the initiative? Don't you know why I fight so hard? When I need care the most, my trainer didn't care about me, but cheered me up. What the hell, please, did Shirona get the wrong script? Looking back with injustice, Lucario looked at Shirona in the distance through the groups of Pokémon. This scene was like a seriously injured soldier on the battlefield, looking back at his goddess, being captured directly by the photographer. It's really a little handsome, it's just a pity. The meaning is wrong. How to say it? Probably. Lucario's eyes are complaining? Not that he would rather die for you without regrets. Boom. Unleashing the ultimate move, Lucario uses haste again, and this time, haste makes his energy exhausted. Energy, also known as PP value, is something called skill points. It is also the first time for Lucario to face so many opponents. Naturally, he has no experience and is not very good at allocating his physical strength and abilities. As a result, there is no skill available now. Coming in front of a Kentaro, Lucario kneaded and knocked it away. Then he added a few hand knives and knocked Kentaro down. From now on, he can only use fighting skills or fight with his own body. But it's not a big problem. As long as he doesn't die, Lucario will not retreat. Don't ask why. If you are thrown to Zumu for training for a period of time, you don't want to go back. This guy seems to have no energy left and can no longer use skills. Everyone, focus on attacking him. Don't be afraid. Even if he is powerful, he can only defeat one Pokémon at a time. Let's attack together. The commander of the Oriental Academy is indeed a genius among geniuses. He discovered Lucario's weakness at the first time. Oh no. Liu Xiao panicked again. Looking at Shirona with a calm face, he was extremely anxious. Sister-in-law, aren't you panicking? Lucario has no energy left. He is being beaten up and is about to fall down. The little bald man nodded and looked at Shirona anxiously. What should I do? Don't worry. Keep watching. Shirona's words, like a magic needle, directly reassured Liu Xiao and the little bald man. What are you afraid of? I'm not panicking yet. What are you worried about? Liu Xiao saw that Shirona still asked him to watch, so he nodded and said no more. Okay, sister-in-law has spoken, so let's continue to shout. 666 in the bottom corner. Being surrounded, Lucario lost the advantage of his skills and became a normal Pokémon. He had no time to dodge the opponent's attacks. His own attacks were always avoided by the opponent or blocked by his protection because of his tactics. But even so, Lucario still didn't give up. It's really hard to imagine that we would encounter such a scene in the quarterfinals. It's even more cruel than the fighting on the battlefield. Although Lucario failed to fight 1 against 100, he still showed his fearless temperament. Oh my god, this is too passionate. The host also shouted excitedly. Although his words were still suspected of being a dog licker, they did shout out everyone's voice. That's right, Lucario is really a little handsome after doing this. At this moment, many teenagers who were watching the live broadcast in front of the TV were looking forward to a miracle, and Lucario could really fight 1 against 100. But reality is often contrary to one's wishes. Reality is always so real. When Lucario's count reached 42, he finally fell down completely. The wounded Lucario looked up at the sky. This time, he defeated 42 Pokémons, almost half of the opponents. If we can still lose, those teammates are too useless. My mission is completed, and the rest is up to you. Lucario sighed and fell back slowly. This time, he really gave it his all. Okay, you don't have to watch anymore. Get ready to fight. Shirona's voice gradually became a little cold. After gently moving her wrist, Shirona began to command, everyone, start to form a battle formation now, including the status group. No assistance is needed, no tactics. Target, all Pokémons on the opposite side, everyone attack. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 377, Sweep and Win. After Sirona finished speaking, all the Pokémon started to move instantly. They couldn't help it. Seeing Lucario fighting alone in front, they were powerless. This feeling of powerlessness deeply stimulated the hearts of each Pokémon and each trainer. The battle was about to break out. After this wave of torture from Lucario, the Oriental Academy had already been exhausted. Looking at the opponent who was in full state and attacking with all his strength, he couldn't immediately feel any resistance. Even with the constant encouragement from the trainer, they were tired after all. Although they were not scared by Lucario's Pokémon, they still had no confidence in the next battle. In terms of mentality, the Oriental Academy had already lost. In fact, this method was more of a cheating method. Let Lucario fight against 100 opponents alone, and then break the opponent's mentality alive. For other participating teams, this trick was a rogue. There was only one champion in the individual competition. There was basically no team that could copy this trick. This trick is really effective for the newcomers who are not particularly tacitly matched, and whose tactics and psychological qualities are not particularly perfect. Therefore, this routine was directly used in the semi-finals and finals after the Magic City Academy defeated the Oriental Academy. Of course, this routine is good, but it is a bit useless for Lucario, since the useless elves are still used. How did the Magic City Academy do it? Haha, this depends on Zoomu. Ask Zoomu, does Lucario dare not do it? Soon, when the Magic City Academy won the double championship of the individual competition and the team competition, this year's freshman competition also ended perfectly under Li Lun's face of a villain's smug smile. After the foreplay, the much-anticipated world-class exchange meeting will begin. This is the highlight, and it is also the reason why everyone pays so much attention to the freshman competition. They are all here to see Zoomu being abused by the world's top masters. Well, a young man was put in the first place on the heavenly ranking. Who would believe it if you ask? In everyone's mind, this kid shouldn't even be on the list. That's right, even if Zoomu is the hope of the future, even if everyone likes this future emperor who can make trouble. But now, Zoomu is still a young man who has not grown up in everyone's heart. In this case, you said that Zoomu directly stood in the world's first place. Did Kyle and others praise Zoomu too much? Aren't you afraid of being slapped in the face? If you ask netizens what scene they are most looking forward to, it is naturally the famous scene of the official being slapped in the face, and the coincidence is that what everyone is looking forward to is about to happen. Who can not pay attention to this? So, on the eve of the opening of the World Exchange Conference, everyone knew the news and kept an eye on when the game would start. Prepare to enjoy the famous scene of the official and Zoomu being slapped in the face. In the official betting table, less than 1% of betting on Zoomu can win. Zoomu, almost single-handedly, has become the biggest upset. And now, the freshman competition is over. That is, the day of the lottery. It has finally arrived. How is it? Are you confident? Before leaving, Sharona looked at Zoomu worriedly. Although she knew Zoomu's ability, these veteran strongmen who had lived for many years were not vegetarians. If they really fought, Zoomu might really suffer a loss. This was something Sharona didn't want to see. Don't worry, I'm very stable. I can't say about Long Yui and my aunt, but I'll let the other 12 people go together. Zoomu patted his chest and boasted to Sharona. What he said was indeed correct. Although the 6 divine birds and the King of Leaves stayed at the border and could not come back temporarily because the border was closed, but the 3 holy clouds and Mutuo were there. In addition to Celebi, the bug-like nurse, and the 2 guys, Little Hupe and Arceus. For Zoomu, it was really a big problem to lose. Okay, don't be too careless. I'll wait for you to win, Sirona said with concern. She might be worried that Zoomu was under a lot of pressure, so she made a little joke. By the way, after you win, I will also post a dynamic to let those who doubt you know that my fiancé is the strongest. Let them all shut up. Because of Sirona's popularity, many keyboard warriors who are jealous of Zoomu have begun to increase. Normally, they would not dare to speak out, but now that Zoomu is about to fall, They naturally add insult to injury and come to Sirona's official social account to leave messages. They all advised Sirona to change her boyfriend quickly, saying that Zumu is not worthy of her. Although it was just a group of brainless people shouting, it really made Zumu angry enough, and he almost confronted these keyboard warriors directly. Fortunately, Sirona still had reason and knew that these trolls could not be easily dealt with, so she stopped Zumu. This incident has also become a little story between the two, and they are often teased by them. Zumu nodded firmly, stroked Sirona's delicate face, and said with a smile, "That's for sure. When the time comes, I will let them know who is the only man in the world who deserves you." Seeing Zumu being like a child and being serious with the dogs, Sirona couldn't help but laugh. Zumu also laughed. "Okay, come on. I'll watch your performance on the court. If you don't perform well, I'll punish you to come back and make me delicious food." There are often many topics that can't be finished between lovers in love. Originally a simple bye-bye, the two chatted for more than half an hour. In the end, the time was up and Zumu had to leave. He said goodbye to Sirona and asked Arceus to teleport him to the venue of Chinan College. Swish! Arriving at the gate of Chinan College in an instant, Zumu did not directly enter the venue, but calmly took back Arceus. Release Lugia. How can a sudden entry be as domineering as riding a mythical beast? Lugia. Standing on the back of Lugia, Zumu finally entered the venue. Looking down from the sky, the auditorium of the venue was already filled with people. It's Zumu. Oh my god, Zumu is here. The show is about to begin. Sure enough, he's riding a Lugia. My idol is so handsome. Lugia is the best means of transportation in the world. This is the standard of a successful man. When I become awesome in the future, I will also get a Lugia to fly. Zumu is finally here. Damn it, I'm going to be in trouble. Ha ha ha. I bet all my fortune on Zumu to win. Now I'm going to make a fortune. Chapter 378. Reckless Man Zumu. Zumu is not arrogant. He is really steady. Standing on Lugia, looking at the 15 strongest people in the world in the center of the venue, Zumu smiled slowly. "I say, can you introduce yourselves?" Zumu still gave his opponent some face this time. After all, he was also in the top 20 in the world and deserved to leave a name. "Aaron, I have heard of Mr. Zoo's reputation for a long time. Today I am fortunate to have a good exchange with him." Aaron released Lugia and said humbly, his Lugia was captured in the elf world, and it can be regarded as Aaron's trump card elf besides Blaziken. "Hello." Zumu nodded. He did not dare to look down on a guy like Aaron who was half cheating. "And, you don't need to introduce yourself." Jumping off Lugia's back, Zumu walked to Zuhong and smiled. Zuhong puffed her lips, looking cute. "Well, if you don't want to know me, there are still so many viewers who want to know me. Why, your aunt doesn't deserve to leave her name." Zuhong was in front of Zumu, showing her grace, without any of the irritability she had when facing Lialun. The Zhu family, in addition to being reckless, also has tradition of protecting their shortcomings. "Well, I'll introduce you. That's okay." Zumu smiled helplessly, and then took 2 steps back to avoid shocking Zuhong with his voice. Then he said loudly, "This is Dean Zuhong, the Dean of Xianyang College, and also my aunt." "My aunt is not only powerful, but also single at present. Older talents with ideas should hurry up." Zumu finished speaking. Bang! A slap hit him on the back of his head. "Little bastard, are you tired of living by saying these things?" With a roar, Zuhong directly exposed her true nature. "Damn, kid, are you tired of living, and your aunt dares to joke?" Zumu was slapped, and the back of his head suddenly buzzed. But he was not angry. Instead he just kept laughing. The younger generation didn't know what was going on. They just thought that Zumu was still laughing after being beaten, and that the relationship between the aunt and nephew should be very good. But in fact, the older generation was numb at this time. "Damn it, I'm afraid that only this stinky boy dared to joke with Zuhong in this way." Damn it, so many people joked with Zuhong, he was the first one who could still stand on the ground and laugh. The horror of Zuhong, the older generation knows it all. Zufeng's rebelliousness were half spoiled by Zuhong, the eldest sister. Now, this crazy woman started to spoil Zumu again. Spoiling is not advisable. Loving a son is like killing a son. This is the cry in the hearts of all the old people. They are really worried that in a few years, Zoomu will develop into a super-headed young man like his father. The bear child goes everywhere. No one dares to mess with him. If that really happens, I don't know how many more people will be unlucky. Do you remember that in Qingpan Forest, Zhu Feng killed dozens of strong men in seconds without a word? That time, Zhu Feng offended not only dozens of people, but dozens of families. Behind these strong men, without exception, there are some connections, big and small. However, Zoomu is so ruthless, he kills when he says he will. If you mess with my son, you must die. This guy has been guarding the border for more than 10 years and has smoothed his temper. Otherwise, if he had the temper before, killing these guys would not be enough. Zhu Feng can take Zoomu to door to ask for compensation for losses. It's not okay to kill your people. I have to come to your door to tell you, and then you should pay me money for compensation. This is Zhu Feng's overbearing style of doing things. As for why Zoomu had to hide in the school for a while after destroying the meteor falls, the main reason is that those families are worried about the emergence of the next Zhu Feng, and strongly demand that Zoomu be dealt with seriously. As a result, what happened to that incident later? It's not that Zoomu didn't exist when he was free and unrestrained until now. You ask how to deal with it, right? Simple. Probably Zhao Yang told Zhu Feng at the border. Then Zhu Feng returned to the post-Elven civilization world and went door to find these families. Whoever wants to severely punish my son, I will destroy that family. Just like that, it's settled. In fact, the old guys now know that their worries are completely unnecessary. How could Zoomu become the next Zhu Feng? Just looking at Zoomu's performance in handling things so many times, the old guys have long known that Zoomu, this kid, is definitely more troublesome and more rogue than Zhu Feng. Therefore, there is nothing wrong with the saying that the disciple is better than the master. Look at how the old Zhu family gives birth to children. TSK. They really know how to do it. Could it be that their family has some special secret treasure that can enhance the talents of their offspring? I am the third generation of the Zhu family, and Grandpa Zhu started from scratch. Zhu Feng is known as the first genius and the strongest person in the world before Zoomu appeared. Zoomu is even more so. How can these three grandfathers and grandchildren be so powerful? Okay, I'm going to meet the other big guys. And Zoomu chatted with Zhu Hong for a few words and looked at Yui. At this time, Yui was concentrating with his eyes closed. Hello, Zoomu, right? I'm Yui. Yui spoke when he felt Zoomu coming to him. Zoomu nodded, stared at Yui for a long time, and slowly said, "He's not that handsome." This sentence was like a bomb, and it shocked everyone directly. Damn it. It's not enough for you to provoke Zhu Hong? You also want to provoke Yui. Zhu Hong is your aunt. I can't beat you to death, but Yui is a guy who might. Zoomu didn't care what others were thinking at this time, muttering to himself, pouting and sighing. Yui's fanfiction is the first pinnacle of the early Yi flow. It can be said that all the elf fanfiction in the later period, as long as it involves the speed of time flow, basically has the shadow of Yui. And this article is not just about Yi. The protagonist is invincible all the way, and the point is that the harem is absolutely stable, full, and ding ding dong dong. If you understand, you understand. If you don't understand the old rules, leave a comment and search it yourself. I wondered how handsome Ikki, who could attract countless beauties in the original novel, could be. But after Zoomu took a look, he found that Ikki was not as handsome as himself. How could he not be disappointed? Alas. With a long sigh, Zoomu prepared to meet the next big guy. Wait, you mean I'm not handsome enough, right? Unexpectedly, Ikki suddenly stretched out his hand and stopped Zoomu, still with a cold and arrogant face, and asked. Zoomu was puzzled. Is there anything wrong with my expression just now? If you understand correctly, this is what I mean. Zoomu would be scared? Just kidding. Just confront him head on. Ikki laughed. Good guy. How long has it been since I met such an interesting person? Okay, since you are not wrong and I understand it correctly, then I have to ask you something. Chapter 379. All 12 of you, come together. Am I not handsome? Yui asked. Zoomu nodded and looked at Yui's eyes seriously. Note that Yui's eyes have double pupils, and they are not black. Your superpowers and illusions are amazing. Zumu shook his finger, indicating that Yui's tricks had no effect on him. Yui looked at Zumu quietly, like a volcano about to erupt, as if he would take action at any time. At this time, the people around him, the audience in the distance, and the big guys watching the live broadcast all clenched their hands, sweating profusely, worried about Zumu's life. Even Zuhong couldn't help but feel nervous. Stepping forward and standing between the two, Zuhong said, "Go and say hello to the other seniors, and we'll talk about it later during the exchange competition." With Zuhong's intervention, Yui didn't continue to stare at Zumu. "Okay," Zumu agreed softly, with a smile on his lips, looking at Yui playfully. "I'll deal with you later." Yui had stabilized his emotions at this time, with an expression of indifference on his face, and didn't even look at Zumu. It was as if Zumu had never appeared in front of him, or, in his heart, Zumu was already dead. Ignoring the arrogant Yui, Zumu continued to look at the next strong man. "Wait, you 12 should all be old seniors who are at the early stage of the supreme and the peak of the sect leader." Zumu suddenly spoke, without giving the other party a chance to introduce himself, and asked directly. The old man was stunned by Zumu's question. He nodded awkwardly, and the other 11 were the same. They didn't know what Zumu was going to do, but he still nodded to answer Zumu's question. "Okay. In that case, I won't talk nonsense. You 12, come together." He shook his shoulders gently and stretched his muscles. Zumu didn't want to waste time. There were 3 opponents waiting for him, Along, Yui, and Zuhong. Now there is no need to know too much about these noobs, just solve them directly. Yui's little arrogance just now has triggered Zumu's anger, and now he can't wait to fight. "Boy, you are so rude." "Ignorant boy, you are so arrogant." "Humphrey, what did you say? Do you really think I am made of mud?" The 12 old men and old ladies were in trouble by Zumu's words. They opened their mouths and shouted angrily. Zuhong didn't expect Zumu to play such a trick. She was stunned at that time. But soon, Zuhong was relieved. "That's right. Zumu acted like a child of our Zu family. So reckless. I like it." "Old thing, what are you humming? If you dare, release the elves to fight with my nephew. If you don't dare, get out of here and let the next one come over." Zuhong turned his head and changed his face directly. The old senior who was still talking just now is now directly an old thing. It's not that Zuhong is impolite, but mainly these old guys dare to scold Zumu. "Can you say that I am a member of the Zu family? Still ignorant?" "Bullshit. You are ignorant." Proudly raising his head, Zuhong looked directly at the 12 old men and old ladies, as if he was ready to fight at any time. This directly ignited the already explosive scene. "Well, I didn't expect that after a lifetime of adventuring, I would be looked down upon by 2 juniors today. Well, go ahead, let me see how good the future emperor you guys have chosen is." After a long time, an old man with the longest beard spoke. He was the vice president of the Oriental College and the one who had lived the longest among all the people present. Seeing him set the tone, the other elders no longer stubbornly maintained their integrity and asked in confusion, "Old Lin, why do you give face to these 2 juniors? They are so annoying to us." "Yes, I haven't been so angry in all these years. Disrespecting elders is extremely rude. This kind of junior is worthy of being the emperor." Dreaming. "I, Li Hanshuang, am the first to disagree." "I don't agree either." Old Lin, the vice president of the Oriental College, saw everyone speaking and shook his head slowly. "You have lived too long, and you can't see many things clearly." Elder Lin said, sighed, and smiled bitterly. "In this world, the strong are the kings. Since Zumu is confident that we can fight together, he is at least a trainer who is superior to us." "What qualifications do you have to be a senior here, huh?" Elder Lin's words directly stumped the others. If these words were said by someone else, these old men and women would definitely be dissatisfied. But now Elder Lin, who has lived the longest, has said this. What reason do they have to put on airs and act like a cow? Listen to the arrangements honestly. Why are we here today? Do you remember? You don't really think that Zhao asked you to come and meet and test the future emperor of the human race, do you? No, we are actually the stepping stone for Zumu to ascend to the highest honor, and the whetstone before he takes charge of the human race. So, do you understand, people? You still have to recognize your position. Otherwise, no matter how many years you live, it will be in vain. Am I right, little friend Zoomu? Seeing that Elder Lin was talking to him, Zoomu also laughed hurriedly. This old man is sensible. Zoomu is not a difficult person to get along with. He just doesn't get along with those who don't have good brains. Seeing how Elder Lin is, what qualifications does Zoomu have to disrespect him? Elders, you should not be respected because you have lived longer, but because you know more and see through things, so you are respected. Old Lin is very insightful. It's the boy Meng Lang. Zoomu clasped his hands and fists, met with Elder Lin, and then began to retreat. He was also expressing his attitude. No matter what, you 12 don't have to think about it today. I'm determined. To retreat is to create distance. Why do we create distance? Of course, it is to make it easier to release the elves and start fighting. Ha 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 ha, good boy. You are quite smart. An old man suddenly laughed, and then took off his long gown, revealing the combat uniform inside. Come on, everyone, let's stretch our muscles together. Old Lin is right. We have no way to retreat in this battle. We can only fight. As soon as he finished speaking, another old man on the side did the same, releasing his 6 main elves without saying a word. With a look of struggle and hesitation in his eyes, he slowly became clear. He is a person who has a grudge with Zoomu and the Zoo family, but at this moment, he should let go of those past grievances. Fighting is the truth that proves everything. Whatever you say, whatever grievances you have, it is better to prove them with strength and solve them with fighting. Okay, then I will dare to ask the 12 seniors for guidance today. Chapter 380. You all should find a nursing home. Go, Steelix. Go, Karunki. I'm counting on you. Arcanine. I'm leaving it to you, Grok. The battle begins. My old buddy, Tyrannosaurus Rex. Beauty blooms forever. I'm counting on you. Melissa. It's time to win. Strength. Come on, my brother, Warhawk. I'm counting on you. Magna. And you, my old friend. Go, Raijin. Electric Beast. Charge. Violent Salamander. Please. At this moment, the 12 bosses released their ace Pokémons at the same time. They were serious. Although no one believed that the young man Zoomu could fight 12 alone, since Elder Lin had spoken, there was nothing to say. Just do it. If they really lost, it would be so embarrassing. Which of you two is going to go up this time? Zoomu shook his head and asked the two Muto in a low voice. Kefan and Kim had a brief exchange in the Pokeball, and finally decided that since there were more people this time, Kefan should come. Okay, I'll leave it to you, Kefan. Zoomu snorted coldly and released Kefan by shaking his hand. He didn't mean to bully people, but mainly because Koga Ninja and the others would have to stay and practice with Ikki later. It would be unfair to them if they wasted too much energy now. Besides, who doesn't want to save face? If Ikki and Along were really killed by Muto, Zoomu himself would feel uncomfortable. After finally meeting two evenly matched opponents, Zoomu also wanted to have a fair fight. As for these old guys, fighting them was mostly purely political factors, and Zoomu had to establish his authority. Just like what Lin Lao said, they were Zoom's stepping stones. That's right. Zoomu nominally said that he wanted to get to know these old strong men this time, but in fact, he just wanted to deal with those who were unwilling to obey and had hard bones. Let them know who is the father and who is the son. Don't be a jerk. You are quite old every day, don't do your job, and still don't obey anyone. A bunch of old people. Zoomu, can you be serious this time? Kefan asked. He looked at the group of elves opposite with an average age of more than 50 years old, and he really couldn't do it. Although these guys are quite powerful, let's be honest, their age is here, and it's a bit unethical to bully them like this. I, Kefan, am also a martial artist after all. It's really not reasonable to bully these old guys like this. Hold back a little, don't really break it, I can't afford to pay. After hesitating for a while, Zoomu decided not to let Kefan go all out. If this thing is going to get big, it can't be solved by 300,000 or 500,000 alliance coins. Those who understand will understand. Boy, you are so arrogant. An old lady couldn't help it. How come according to Zoomu's meaning, they seem to have become some kind of old bad guys that can't be said clearly? Get started, Steelix. Use earthquake. Not only the old ladies, but the old men are also unhappy, although the reason is here, and Elder Lin has explained it. But facing the arrogant Zoomu, I really can't stand it, and I can't hold back my anger. Super, Mega Evolve. Zoomu asked Super to Mega Evolve this time, not for showing off, well, a little bit, but more importantly, the whole world is watching this so-called exchange meeting. If Zoomu doesn't show off his strength and prove that these old things are no longer good, it would be a pity. So, you must not be patient when you need to show off. Got it? Although Super didn't know what Zoomu was thinking. Since Zoomu asked him to evolve, then the evolution would be over. Anyway, if it was just him, Zoomu shouldn't be under much pressure and could still withstand it. What? This guy can also Mega Evolve. Elder Lin was shocked when he heard the conversation between Zoomu and Super. It shouldn't be. Can the mythical beast still Mega Evolve? According to legend, Mega Evolution is actually a manifestation of atavism of elves, a mode born to protect themselves. This evolutionary form is generally a special evolutionary form that is born when elves survive in the wild to prevent the crisis of extinction. So, this evolutionary form is generally only for ordinary elves. For a divine beast, there shouldn't be any crisis of extinction or survival problems. How could such an evolution similar to atavism be born? Lin Lao's doubts are also everyone's doubts. Kefan and Ku defeated the entire teachers and students of the Magic City College before, and later beat Regichkas. Logically speaking, they are already above the supreme strength. This can still Mega Evolve. Do you want to live? What is this like? Just that kind of person who is originally more handsome than you, and he has money. This is not the point. Is this a man who can tolerate it? What should the emotion be at this time? That is envy, jealousy and hatred, mixed with a trace of helplessness. In fact, Lin Lao and others, as well as the people watching this exchange meeting, are in this state of mind at this time. Boom. Continuous sonic boom sounded around Kefan, and powerful energy gathered into a vortex-like cyclone, enveloping Kefan in the center. Kefan's whole body was shrouded in the light of evolution, and no one could see anything from the outside, but everyone knew that Kefan was definitely getting stronger. Zoomu, how do you feel this time? When the evolution was almost finished, Kefan asked Zoomu using telepathy. It's okay this time. It doesn't consume as much physical and mental energy as the first time. I feel like I can maintain the mega evolution of both of you at the same time. Zoomu's voice was very stable, and it sounded like there should be no big problem. That's good. Kefan was relieved and began to evolve with all his strength, no longer suppressing his own evolution speed to protect Zoomu. In fact, mental power is like kneading dough. It needs to be exercised and rubbed. The more you rub, the stronger it will be, and it will be more durable. Zoomu is like this now. If his previous mental power concentration was 1.0, then after the last incident, his mental power was constantly regenerated in consumption, and now it has reached a concentration of 2.0. Under Kefan's full urging, the mega evolution was completed. The muscular Kalman X descended domineeringly, looking down at the 12 old elves and old men and women below in the air. He smiled slowly. Come on, the one who is going to punch the bully in the nursing home this time is me, Kefan. As he said that, Kefan began to dive. Chapter 381. People must accept their age. The momentum of Kefan was definitely a complete suppression. The 12 old elves were guys who had lived for more than 50 years. What kind of aura had they not seen? But at this moment, facing the swooping Kefan, they actually felt a wave of fear from the bottom of their hearts. Yes, this feeling was fear. Steel Snake, don't be afraid. Use protection when you see the opportunity to block his attack. Windspeed Dog, the opponent only has one elf. We should not be afraid. Raise our spirits. That's right, Queen Flower, we should not be afraid either. Give him a taste of instant sunlight and flame first. Beautiful Flower, Petal Dance. War Feather Eagle, use the divine bird to attack. Mighty Crocodile, bite it to pieces. Dot. The elves were afraid, but these old guys were not afraid at all. They were all experienced veterans, and they had encountered divine beasts before. Now it was 12 against 1, and there were still 5 elves who had not appeared. In this case, no matter how strong Kefan was, They still did not despair. They still believed that they still had a chance. Although it seemed slim, there was strength in numbers, right? Maybe they were right, but they always forgot one thing, that is, in the face of absolute power, no matter how many people there are, it is useless. Kefan fell from the sky, and the first one to come to him was the war feather eagle. Kefan almost didn't even look at him, and swung his hand and made a knife. He directly knocked the war feather eagle away, and then went straight to the most arrogant mighty crocodile below. "What? I heard that you are an evil type. Pretty awesome. I'm really sorry. Kefan has hated evil type elves like you since I was a child. This time you were unlucky." Holding the spiral wave missile, Kefan didn't even say hello, and directly teleported behind the mighty crocodile. Without even giving the mighty crocodile a chance to react, Kefan directly pressed the ball on the mighty crocodile's body. Woo wah woo bang, violent friction and explosion sounds rang out. The mighty crocodile fell completely. First blood is in hand. Kefan, use teleportation quickly to avoid it and attack that beautiful flower in the king flower. Zumu's voice suddenly appeared in the mind of Kefan, who still wanted to show off and pose. Kefan heard this, without even a moment's hesitation, and used teleportation to disappear from the spot. The next second after he disappeared, a series of status skills, such as hypnotic powder, poison powder, paralysis powder, etc., followed one after another. Kefan stood behind Mealahua, and when he saw the scene in front of him, he was so scared that he patted his heart. Fortunately, Zumu reminded him, otherwise, he might have been in trouble. Being hit by so many status skills at the same time, even a mythical beast would be weakened by 3 points. Damn it, Mealahua, use protection, arcane, speed, help Mealahua block Mewtwo's attack. Obviously, the old woman cursed inwardly when she found out that her plan was discovered by Zumu, and hurriedly asked Mealahua to protect herself. Because of the tacit understanding of many years, the trainer of Arcane also hurriedly asked his Pokémon to step forward to help Mealahua block the knife. Zumu found that these old guys are really capable. Apart from anything else, they really want to win. Super, don't give them a chance. Use close combat. Zumu is not a good man. As a protagonist with a standard villain character, in Zumu's eyes, the struggle of his opponent is the source of his happiness. Since these guys are unwilling to admit defeat and want to rely on their numbers to fight Super, Zumu couldn't ask for more. After receiving the command from the trainer, the wind speed dog came to Super as soon as possible and hit Super's back hard. However, his attack power was still not enough. Super was almost not affected by his sneak attack. Close combat, a set of small combos directly protected the face of the beautiful flower. Beautiful flower didn't even have the opportunity to use protection, and was hit by Super with a confused face. Beautiful flower was hit by Super's attack and lost her combat ability on the spot. The next one is the Tyrannosaurus over there. These two guys are the most annoying. By the way, remember to kill the wind speed dog for me. Zumu continued to command. This Tyrannosaurus and Tyrannosaurus are the most annoying of the 12 elves present, and they are also the ones who are most likely to make Super overturn. So Zumu's tactic is to get rid of these two grass-type Pokémon first, and then defeat the opponents one by one. As if guessing Zumu's idea, after Tyrannosaurus used Sun Flame, the trainer of Tyrannosaurus directly ordered Tyrannosaurus to use Protect in advance. Unfortunately, Transcendent's attack cannot be blocked by one Protect. With a flying knee kick that shattered Tyrannosaurus' light green protective barrier, Transcendent directly took Tyrannosaurus away with a Mendel Blade. Nura. The moment Transcendent defeated Tyrannosaurus, Magura, who was not far away, suddenly shouted. He had used Sword Dance 3 times, raising his attack to the extreme. In this situation, Magura only felt that his combat power was bursting. It should be said that he was confident this time. His confidence led to his trainer becoming confident as well. Then, Maru, use high-speed movement, and use split after approaching Mewtwo. Maru's trainer is also an old man. When he saw Maru complete 3 sword dances, he immediately showed a smile of conspiracy, thinking that he had already won. Nura, Maru, who was moving at a fast speed, was already in a state of excitement. Now he felt that he had completed 3 sword dances, so he was the best. Isn't it easy to deal with a small Mewtwo? After moving at high speed to approach Kefan, Maru didn't even have the strength to defend Kefan's counterattack, and jumped high directly, and split. Koma, let him experience despair. Zumu didn't expect that there was a guy with a bad brain on the opposite side. Maru, who was only full of attack power, dared to point fingers at Kefan, and split whenever he wanted. Do you think Kefan is moving bricks? Kefan didn't have time to answer Zumu, and turned around and looked at Maru directly. He slowly stretched out a hand, spread it out, and directly split Mala's hand and caught it. Even with your full attack power, you can't break my defense. Desperate? Kefan grinned with a trace of contempt, and with a little force on his palm, he grabbed Mala's claws and squeezed them. Snap! Mala screamed in pain. The crisp sound of bone friction rang out. It was obvious that Mala's hand was completely broken by Kefan's pinch. Exclamation mark! Everyone, don't give up. We still have a chance. Elder Lin found that he was not doing well and was repeatedly dominated by Kefan, so he quickly spoke to stabilize the morale of the army. Everyone release all your elves. I don't believe that no matter how powerful this guy is, he can still beat 60 people alone. Chapter 382. You can just shut yourselves up. Old Lin couldn't stand it any longer. This extraordinary could mega evolve, and he was still so strong. Doesn't this mean that these old guys will be swept away by Zumu with a Pokémon today? That's too ugly. I can't stand it at all. Losing. You can lose. Old Lin had already prepared himself mentally, but he couldn't lose so badly, right? What's the matter? Are we really embarrassed to be in the coffin? Thinking of this, Old Lin decided to fight directly. Since Zumu doesn't give everyone face, then come on, isn't it just a fight? 60 of us can't beat you. Fire Spirit, Giant Claw Crab, Zoroark, Pidgeot, Flame King. All of them. With a flick of his hand, he released all his main Pokémons. Old Lin was obviously serious. Oh, extraordinary. The other side seems to be all in. Then don't be polite. A quick battle. Zumu grinned. Wouldn't it be better if he did this earlier? What's the point of being polite? Who are you looking down on by getting one each? Do you think I, Zumu, can be defeated easily with just one Pokémon? Kefan nodded, wanting to release himself completely for a long time. Come on, I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to fight enough. Kefan shook his head slightly and clenched his fist. Q was anxiously shaking in the Pokeball. Hey, Zumu, there are 60 of them on the opposite side. Kefan is afraid that he can't do it by himself. How about I join in? Zumu didn't say anything, but Kefan couldn't help it. What are you meddling in? These 60 brothers are not enough for me to fight by myself. You should just rest honestly. Kefan was afraid that Q would come out to disrupt his good deeds, so he quickly spoke to stop this guy. Q snorted aggrievedly. If you don't allow me to fight, then don't fight. I'm just worried about your safety. Zumu shook his head helplessly. If the conversation between these two guys was heard by the old guys on the opposite side, they would probably be angry to death. They are old and will not live long. I'm afraid they can't stand such an exciting conversation. Everyone, let's attack together. A white-bearded old man took the lead and roared. He already felt that he was full of blood for the first time in a long time. This feeling was so exciting. The old man roared, as if he was 18 years old again, and led a group of old men and old ladies to fight fiercely with Kefan. The battle was indeed fierce, but there were elves falling down on their side. Kefan was fine, and even no elf's attack could hit Kefan, who was going all out. There was really no way to do this. The demigod Kefan had undergone mega evolution, and his strength was infinitely close to that of a god. At this time, if he was easily defeated by a group of elves in the early stage of the supreme or the peak of the head, it would be too embarrassing. As if he had expected that these veteran strongmen would inevitably fail, Yui snorted impatiently. He couldn't wait any longer. Zumu's Kefan was indeed a demigod combat power, and he had no elves to compete with him. But this combat power had already exceeded the scope of ordinary elves. If he fought against Zumu, he would rather everyone use more normal elves to have a real contest. In this way, they were worthy of being called opponents, and worthy of being as arrogant as him, Yui. Besides, Arceuseki and Aaron have seen it before, and a demigod cowman can't make them feel any horror at all. That's right, These two guys have seen Zumu, Arceus's biological father, the real creator god. The story has come to this point, and the background of the world should have been explained very clearly. Book friends who still have no concept in their minds can mark it here for easy review. First of all, the world where Zumu is located is a parallel space of the elf world. From time to time, some scenes in the elf world appear here, just like copies, giving birth to some scenes. This is the advent of the secret realm. In fact, the secret realm is a copy of some scenes in the original elf world. How should the appearance of the mythical beasts be explained? Just like the several Lugia that appeared before, as well as the split sky seat, the infinite Tana, etc. Are they also copies of the elf world? No. They are indeed the only existence. The appearance of the secret realm is not only for the post-elf civilization world, but also has transmission channel in the elf world. For example, Ilan, the Iron Fool, accidentally entered here, just like this. The reason why the beasts are more willing to appear in the secret realm is not because of Zumu's protagonist Halo, but because the secret realm is a natural small world, and the environment is not worse than the original elf world. And it is quiet here. There are no humans. It is more like a dojo, suitable for the practice of the beasts. And Aaron and Yui, please note that this book is the only protagonist. ! These two guys are a kind of intrusion, you know. Their appearance is to prove the diversity of this world. At this time, Zumu looked at Yui, and Yui was also looking at Zumu. They were all looking forward to the next battle. This battle is inevitable. For a long time, Kifan stood there panting, looking at a bunch of elves lying around him. He breathed a long sigh of relief. This time it's cool. Kim pouted sourly in the elf ball. Such a fun thing. He didn't catch up. Damn. 60 sandbags. A group of sandbags that are worth hitting. He didn't hit one. Lin Lao looked at the scene in front of him in shock. He was really numb. Not only him, but also the other 11 old men were a little bit unbelievable. 60 elves were pinned to the ground by Kifan in 3 minutes, and all lost their fighting ability. Who dares to believe this? Zumu, you won. After a long silence, it was Elder Lin who reacted first. As Elder Lin stepped forward and said this to Zumu, the whole venue rang with earth-shaking applause and cheers. It was as if humans were celebrating the ascension of the new emperor, shouting wildly. Zumu, who was once regarded as the hope of mankind, has become the strongest in the world today. What's wrong with using a divine beast? If you have it, you can use it. Zumu is awesome. No matter what anyone says, he is awesome. For a while, those who were waiting to see Zumu and the official being slapped in the face, those who were ready to kill Zug and take the goddess, shut up, silently deleting the bad comments on the internet before. They only realized at this time that the clown was actually me. What? Why did you delete the previous speech? Haha, the internet is not a lawless place, and you still have to be responsible when you speak here. Even a 3-year-old primary school student understands this principle. No matter how stupid the trolls are, they should grow up and understand some common sense. Chapter 383 Battle with Yui. It's your turn. Without looking at Aaron and Zuhong, Zumu left them for last. He strode directly to Yui and said that he had been waiting for this moment for a long time. Yui was the same. He had long wanted to fight with Zumu, who was more arrogant than him. Okay, then come on. Yui held the Pokeball in his hand, not afraid at all. Although Zumu was the absolute favorite of this world, Yui was not a pushover. His experience made him think that he was actually the protagonist of this world and favorite of heaven. Although Aaron also thought so, Zumu also thought so. Maybe after today's exchange meeting, Yui and Aaron should not think so. Absol, please. Yui didn't waste words and directly released his ace Pokemon, Absol. An Absol whose strength reached the late Supreme, and could reach the peak of Supreme after Mega Evolution. Zumu also took back the extraordinary that had just been powerful, and released his trump card. Koga Greninja. Cool, I am Greninja, willing to help Zu. Shut up. Zumu held his forehead speechlessly, stopping Greninja from saying the second-year opening remark. Others may not know, but he knows it very well. Both Icky and Aaron have special energy marks on their bodies. These two guys can definitely understand the language of the elves. If they knew that Greninja is so second year, Wouldn't it be embarrassing? Ha ha ha. This is still a very interesting Greninja. Sure enough, Aaron on the side had heard the first half of Greninja's words and laughed immediately, although his laughter was hearty, without a trace of affectation, sunny and decent. But Zumu still took out a small notebook in his heart and recorded Aaron. On a certain day of a certain year, Aaron laughed at my frog's second year. Upsal, use Kametachi. He started with a signature skill to test. Iki is also an old trainer, and his combat experience is definitely not inferior to Zumu. Greninja, Water Shuriken, block it. If it was before, Zumu would definitely not be polite, and he would start with Greninja's signature combo to greet the opponent. But now it's different. The opponent is not a rookie, and the difference in strength between the two sides is not that big. If you expose your trump card skills right at the start, you will definitely put yourself in a disadvantage. Zumu will not make such a low-level mistake. It's better to start with a test. Oh, seeing the Water Shuriken collide with Kametachi and disappear into the air, Iki probably has an idea in his mind. He and Upsal actually have a little unknown. This word is not appropriate. That is, they have a little tacit understanding. That is, when testing the opponent, only use 80% of the power of this skill. Now Greninja's Flying Water Shuriken and Kametachi are tied, which means that Greninja's strength should be slightly inferior to his own Upsal. In this case, it proves that Iki's judgment is correct. In terms of hard power, Upsal is indeed a little bit better than Greninja. Since there is an advantage in strength, Iki also knows how to fight next. Upsal, Mega Evolution. That's right, since there is an advantage in strength, just evolve it directly. Iki's idea is very simple, that is, to seize the advantage, fight quickly, and don't give Zumu any chance. Anyway, this is a simple addition and subtraction. I was stronger than you, and now I have evolved. Shouldn't I be stronger? Is it reasonable? It's reasonable, but you have to see who you meet. Although Greninja can't Mega Evolve, it can evolve by bond. As Upsal's handsome, domineering and chic figure appeared, he let out a long howl and was ready to completely end Greninja, his opponent, and then go back to sleep. But, is it that simple? Is Zumu so easy to deal with? You must be kidding. Greninja, we won't be polite, let's do bond evolution. The process of Iki observing Zumu just now was also the process of Zumu observing him. The strength of Greninja and Upsal seems to be evenly matched. Isn't that much simpler? Just evolve directly. After you evolve, your strength will be improved by a small realm, and you will reach the peak in the later stage. But my frog is different. It will directly become a half-step demigod from the middle stage. Isn't this a huge advantage? Zumu and Iki have the same opinion. Their strength is about the same, so let's evolve quickly to resolve the battle. So, under Zumu's command, Greninja also began bond evolution. When the water flow completely wrapped him up, Greninja's strength began to increase rapidly. Not long after, both Pokémons completed their evolution. Iki and Zumu spoke almost at the same time, Kametachi, Water Shuriken, but this time, although both sides spoke at the same frequency, the results were indeed very different. It is true that Upsal did hide his strength at the beginning, and his Kametachi was not a simple single shot. This time, Upsal directly merged the energy of wind with Kametachi, and then burst into a fierce attack. Hundreds of Kametachi appeared almost at the same time and went straight to Greninja, but Greninja was not simple either. After using the shadow clone technique, Greninja directly turned on the ball rolling mode, and the super large ball middle dot spiral water shuriken. Hundreds of spiral water shuriken blasted out, and Greninja and Upsal's attacks were almost synchronized and collided together. Then, boom boom boom, thick smoke filled the field, and the bodies of Upsal and Greninja gradually disappeared from everyone's sight. Everyone could only seem to hear a little explosion, proving that the collision of the two Pokémon's special moves was not over yet. Come on, Upsal. Stubbornly believing that his Pokémon was slightly stronger, Iki simply ordered Upsal to continue using Kametachi to fight against Greninja. Little did they know that when Greninja's hundreds of spiral water shurikens hit the Kametachi, a dramatic scene appeared. The originally evenly matched situation suddenly changed. The spiral water shurikens actually directly blasted through the Kametachi with wind attributes and rushed straight to Upsal to kill. Through the smoke, Iki saw this scene and was immediately dumbfounded. This, what about Absol's advantage? Was it just cheated? Greninja, don't hold back, now, use La Shan Sheng Long. Zumu's voice came, and Iki didn't have time to think about it, and hurriedly ordered Absol to use protection. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 384, Iki is stunned. In fact, Iki is really not weak. His Absol, as an ace Pokémon, originally has special abilities. His control of wind is simply unmatched. Even flying Pokémon in front of him may not be able to get any advantage. But he happened to meet Zumu. The calm Itachi was scattered, and Absol was hit by hundreds of spiral water shurikens and flew backwards. Seeing the approach of Koga Ninja, he hurriedly used protection according to Iki's instructions. But, is protection that simple? There is an eternal truth that you must understand, that is, at certain times, certain skills can break the barrier. In other words, Koga Ninja's La Shan Sheng Longba is such a skill. So to say, that is to say, everyone understands. I saw Koga Ninja posing and getting ready, and directly started with an uppercut. Cool, La Shan Sheng Longba. With a domineering roar, Koga Ninja took off directly and hit Absol's chin with an uppercut. Boom. After knocking Absol away, Greninja landed gracefully. With his head tilted, he looked coldly at Absol not far away and sneered. That's it? Iki was dumbfounded. Why didn't you play by the rules? We said that our Absol is stronger than you, but after evolving, why was it beaten? What happened? Iki looked at Zumu in disbelief, and slowly lowered his head after a while. That's all. It's just a fight. Next, I'll leave it to you. Charizard. Charizard is Iki's original Pokémon. This guy's combat power is definitely a powerful existence at the same level as Absol. And Iki's Charizard has a great feature, that is, he has a fiery red pattern. The question is, isn't Charizard born with red skin? Wrong. Iki's Charizard is shining Charizard, and its skin is black. A little handsome. Zumu pursed his lips and smiled slowly. But that's all. Old pen, come out and practice. Zumu smiled calmly after summoning his own Charizard. Roar. The Charizard roared. What the hell? Dare to hold your head high in front of me? Why are you pretending to be a coward? When Yui's Charizard saw Old Pen, he was subconsciously stunned. Roar? New king? The king of the Charizard Valley is not just a verbal title. It requires a ceremony like the Dragon Carnival. Yui's Charizard had the honor of witnessing the enthronement ceremony of the king in the Charizard Valley of the Elf World. Now, the momentum and pressure of Zumu's Charizard are exactly the same as those of the Charizard King who has experienced the ceremony. Subconsciously, the Charizard is afraid. That's right, this is the pressure of the king. What's wrong? Charizard, the Charizard that had fought with him for many years and had been in the Elf World for many years was Yui's most trusted partner. But now, the Charizard actually felt a little fear of the guy opposite. How is this possible? Roar. It's okay. Charizard shook his head slowly, forcibly excluding this pressure from his mind. Can fight. He felt that the opponent's strength seemed to be a little inferior to his, and there was still some gap in comparison. That's right, even Charizard, who had inherited Zhurong's legacy, was now not much different from Greninja, both of whom were in the middle stage of the Supreme. But it was not as good as Iki's Charizard, who was in the late stage of the Supreme. So, even if the old Charizard was the new king, Charizard still felt that he had the strength to fight. Oh? Zumu tilted his head and laughed teasingly. Just a small realm higher. You think you can turn the tide? Are you kidding? Aren't the strong and the genius all challenging across levels? Have you ever seen a genius who only sticks to the same level? Charizard Mega Evolves. Charizard, Mega Evolve. Zumu and Iki spoke at the same time, and the two Charizards began to evolve. Just now, the extraordinary evolved once, and then Greninja evolved again by bondage. Now he has to maintain the Mega Evolution of Charizard. Zumu said that his mental and physical strength are really running out. Fortunately, Zumu's mental strength has been strengthened, so he can barely hold on. Roar, let's fight. Charizard spread his hands and shot a jet of flame at Old Pen. Old Pen has already lost count of how many times he has fought with his kind. He has long known the root badness of the Charizard family. It is a habit to greet with a jet of flame. It's like cursing before a fight. Before a fight, Charizard must use a jet of flame to insult the opponent, taking advantage of the moment when the opponent's Charizard used the jet of flame to show off after evolution. Old Pen rushed over with the jet of flame. With a close-range move of the evil flame dragon, he collided with the opponent's Charizard. Boom! Without Zoom U's command, Old Pen directly gained the advantage on his own. Charizard used Dragon's Fury. Icky's Charizard is an evolved Y, a pure fire direction, but his spray of flames really didn't have much effect. Not only did it not cause any damage to Old Spray, but it was injured by the evil flame dragon. Seeing that the situation was not good, Icky quickly signaled Charizard to change his moves. This guy seemed to be immune to fire attacks. Old Spray, Swallow returned to avoid the opponent's attack, and then use Primal Force. Zoom U's command was always so accurate. He was never a reckless trainer who used the kind of avoidance and rise. Charizard, we use Protect, then Dragon Wave. Icky's choice was also steady. He would never go head-to-head with Zoom U's Old Spray, that is, steady, and play a defensive counterattack. Zoom U saw that the situation was about to become a protracted war, and immediately decided to sell the opponent a flaw. Old Spray, Reverse Scale. This move is definitely a letdown. Old Spray was confused when he heard Zoom U's instructions. However, thinking that Zoom U might have some plan, he subconsciously chose to follow the trainer's command. Old Spray directly used Reverse Scale. It should be said that Old Spray is usually a brave and cautious person, but once he fights with his own kind, the old man's masculinity is absolutely overflowing. He is not afraid at all. Opportunity. Now is the time. Charizard, use the water cannon. Yes, you heard it right. Icky ordered his Charizard to use the water cannon. Shiny Pokémon always have some special abilities, and Icky's Charizard is mainly good at using water skills. It's outrageous. Just like Gyarados who can use 100,000 volts, Icky's Charizard is also the same. What a monster! The trump card that has been held back for so long was suddenly activated, and Charizard was of course extremely excited. With a roar, the water cannon blasted out. Then, he was stunned. Icky was also stunned. What the hell? What happened? Why is my water cannon ineffective? Chapter 385 My Charizard can store water. Zoom U laughed. I knew you must have some hidden cards. Damn it, I caught you. You're still thinking of playing a trick on me? Little brother, you are just this little bit of skill. Don't show it to embarrass yourself. I thought you had some talent. The result was just a water cannon. So funny. Lao Pen and Zoom U had the same expression. He was quite surprised. Yes, he was really surprised. He thought his opponent would give him some surprises, but it turned out to be just a water cannon? Forget it. Your water cannon is not as good as that kid's pee. It's not enough to cool me down. Roar. With a loud roar, Lao Pen responded with a Dragon Claw, which chopped on Icky's Charizard. The water cannon attacked Lao Pen's body, but it only caused a lot of water vapor to appear. Apart from that, there was no damage. Instead, it restored a lot of physical strength for Lao Pen. Who can bear this? Charizard was hit by the Dragon Claw and immediately showed a painful expression. Damn, what are you grabbing? Roar. Subconsciously exerting all his strength, the fire-breathing dragon knocked the old fire-breathing dragon away with a flash charge. Then he covered his crotch and screamed wildly. At this moment, all the male compatriots in the audience were collectively chilled. It felt like a cold wind was blowing below. Zoom U's fire-breathing dragon actually has this trick. Sure enough, brother, you are a guy who is hard-mouthed and soft-hearted. At the beginning, I asked you to help me take care of Zoom U, and you said you didn't want to do it, but in the end you still went. You spent a lot of effort to prepare this little guy for Zoom U. Oh, I really hope you can see the state too. Zoom U has grown up. He used to be crazy, but now he has grown up and knows what it means to be crazy when he should be crazy. This is much better than his father. Unfortunately, you can't see it. Now Yang looked at the battle scene on the screen of his mobile phone, gently shook the goblet in his hand, and drank the red wine in the glass with satisfaction. Then his eyes gradually changed from full of pride to loneliness. Dao Tanyang's departure left him with no one to talk to. Dao Yuanyang's only way to entertain himself now was to look at Zumu and then talk to his brother. Of course, Zumu was the one who talked the most. "Chief, the border seems to be open." Just as Dao Yuanyang was about to pour himself some more wine and take another sip, the secretary rushed into the room and said. Upon hearing the secretary's words, Dao Yuanyang ignored the wine glass in his hand, put down his phone directly, and quickly stepped forward to ask, "What's the situation? Tell me." The secretary did not dare to delay and hurriedly said, "It seems that the world over there used some special means to force the border protection mechanism to open. Then what we know now is that the rockets seem to have put in 1,000,000 troops, and brought several other evil organizations to attack us together. It seems that the rockets have reached some agreement with them. The number of enemies who came to invade this time is as many as 3,000,000. General Zhu ordered people to ask for help, hoping that we can provide help." The secretary finished speaking in one breath, and then Dao Yuanyang's face turned pale. Ding ding ding, the ringtone rang. It was Kyle calling. Obviously he also knew the situation here. It was urgent. That was not an exaggeration. "Uncle Jean, what do you say now?" Kyle was not polite, and asked directly. Dao Yuanyang held the phone, his eyes gradually deepened. "Ask Mu to stop the war, everyone to rest, and go to the border to support in 3 hours. Then arrange our reserve army during this period, as well as graduates from various colleges, to rush to the border to support within 5 hours. All top trainers, elite trainers, all should be called up to form a temporary team, and rush to the border to wait for orders within 12 hours. The old man is still the wisest." Dao Yuanyang just thought about it and quickly arranged the battle sequence and tasks. Kyle didn't say anything nonsense, just nodded and arranged it. "Everyone, stop fighting. Now a red war alert is being broadcast. The border battlefield has been reopened. The enemy has a total of 3,000,000 people and is fighting General Zhu. Border crisis. Chief Kyle and Chief Ao have ordered all veterans who participated in the war to gather at the armed forces in each city immediately. Enlist and support the border. Graduates from various colleges and all trainers above the elite trainer level, please volunteer to go to the armed forces in each city and wait for assignment." 5 minutes later, this message appeared and spread all over the world. At the same time, countless trainers who saw this message left their homes and put down their work at hand. They went to the armed forces in the city to register. Among them, the veterans who had retired on the battlefield were even more so. They will always remember the words, "If there is a war, I will return," if called when they left the army. At this moment, the post-elf civilization world is facing an unprecedented crisis. The enemy has a total of 3,000,000 people, and Zhu Feng has no more than 500,000 soldiers available. The comparison between the two sides clearly shows that the post-elf civilization world is at an incomparable disadvantage. But even so, this time no one is afraid. No one is afraid. Almost all the retired soldiers, as well as those excellent trainers who graduated from the academy, are trying their best to go to the relevant departments in the city to register, just to support the border as soon as possible. Support the 500,000 border soldiers who are struggling to support. They are fighting for this world, in danger and facing crisis. Before the border was not made public, everyone didn't know so many things. But now, the war is public, and everyone in the post-elven civilization world knows that on a battlefield called the border, there are hundreds of thousands of soldiers who are sacrificing their lives and blood every day to protect them. They would rather die in battle, but still have no regrets. Now, these people have been struggling for months when the border was blocked. Now that the border has just opened, it has encountered a major counterattack from the enemy. How can this not make people feel distressed? This time, brothers on the border, don't be afraid. We will protect you. Whether it is the East or Western Europe, at this moment, trainers all over the world are working hard in their own way. I hope to get the soldiers on the border out of danger as soon as possible and give them support. At this time, the post-elven civilization world is unprecedentedly united. In the face of the world's crisis, everyone is absolutely united. No one and nothing can destroy people's determination to protect their own world. Not to mention Team Rocket, Even if Team Rainbow Rocket comes, it won't work this time. Chapter 386 Supporting the Border. When Zumu heard that the border was open, the battlefield was started, and his father was trapped. His first reaction was, "Where is my knife?" Young people, who doesn't have a little temper? In addition, Zumu is originally very hot-tempered. If he encounters such a thing, there is nothing to say, just pick up the weapon and do it. However, Liu Yang's order was like a basin of cold water, which was poured directly on him. Rest in place for 3 hours before you can leave. Why? Zumu subconsciously looked at Kyle in the video, a little confused. Kyle glanced at the camera speechlessly, and roared through the phone, How long can you hold on with your current physical strength?" Kyle saw the battle between Zumu and Yui, and the previous single-handed fight with 12 old guys. After all, Zumu is also his son-in-law. How can he not care? Naturally, the extraordinary Mega Evolution and the Bond Evolution of Koga Ninja, and the Guy Trizard also followed. Zumu's physical strength is definitely at the bottom. Among the strong men present, except for A Long and Zhu Hong, none of them can be said to be able to fight. Resting on the spot for 3 hours is the best protection for these people. Otherwise, throwing them directly to the battlefield. Liu Yang is too irresponsible. Is this treating the strong as cannon fodder to die? Okay. Zumu looked at Zhu Hong dejectedly. Then I'll ask you, and, to hold the opponent first. Wait for me. Zhu Hong smiled calmly. Don't worry, brat. We will definitely wait for you to return as a king and defeat all those guys on the opposite side. After touching Zumu's head lovingly, Zhu Hong turned around. The love in his eyes turned into indifference and coldness. The aura of the supreme strong man burst out from his whole body, and even Zumu on the side was shocked. Zhu Hong said, "Now, all the strong men who still have the strength to fight and are above the King of Heaven, follow me." A Long stood silently behind Zhu Hong, expressing his position with actions. It is true that there are many strong people in this world, but there are indeed many people who have never been on the battlefield. Strong people like them have grown up in competitions with protection mechanisms, and rarely have life and death experience. But this time, there is no choice, everyone must charge. After Zhu Hong led the people away, Zumu sat on the ground unwillingly and summoned Celebi to heal the wounds of everyone who had just fought. At the same time, he meditated to restore his own state. There are many strong people in the post-elf civilization world. Based on this strength division, this world does not seem to be weak. But please note that the strength division is not universal. For example, Ilan, in their world, is only a gym trainer or above. But according to the strength division of this world, he is a king of the king. Don't criticize the author for forcibly pulling back the collapse of combat power. I will pretend not to see it. So, this sense of crisis of impending disaster is not a joke. It is real. The civilization history of the elf world for hundreds or even thousands of years is compared with the current post-elf civilization world for more than 100 years. That is definitely a huge gap. Moreover, in the Pokémon world without the protagonist, Team Rocket almost competed with the Alliance and even unified the world. Their resources and means are so powerful that it is simply unimaginable. Last time Zumu took away Mewtwo at the border and started a killing spree. It's just that Team Rocket has not been serious yet and has not invested all its troops in the post-elf civilization world. Most of their main forces are still fighting with the Alliance. However, after losing Mewtwo, Boss Sakaki has figured it out. It is better to gather firepower and destroy one end first than to start a two-front war. After all, the Pokémon Alliance is still in the same world. Under Sakaki's nose, Sakaki can quickly understand their dynamics. But the post-elf civilization world is different. These guys are not in this world, and Sakaki definitely doesn't know what they do every day. In addition, the border protection mechanism is triggered, and no one on either side can enter or leave during this period. Sakaki really felt the pressure. With pressure, there is motivation. So, this scene of 1,000,000 coalition forces pressing into the border and approaching the city appeared just like this. Defense. All switch to defense mode and wait for reinforcements. The first time Zufeng learned the news, Team Rocket suddenly launched an attack. When he saw the millions of troops on the opposite side approaching the city, his heart was actually cold. But no one can fall, but he can't. Anyone can lose, but he can't, because behind him is the entire post-elf civilization world. In the final analysis, this is not a war between two races, but a collision of two world civilizations. If Team Rocket succeeds in invading, it won't be a disaster. But everything left by the people who lived in this world before, all the past of this world, will become a joke. Team Rocket is the only master. Moreover, as a small world, Zufeng knows it very well. If Team Rocket values this place, it's okay, at least they won't kill people wantonly, and they can build and protect it. But if Team Rocket just wants to use this world as a resource extraction point, a colony, then there's no fun. It's impossible to imagine how the post-elf civilization world has been ruined. With the belief that he could not hand over his home to others, Zufeng straightened his back. Standing at the front of the team, he took a deep breath. Anyway, Zio was sent away by him in advance, and Zimu had grown up. Although he had not done anything for this family in all these years, he had done everything. There was no worry. Perhaps after years of fighting, this should be his last time. With a heavy heart, but as if with a hint of relief, Zufeng looked at the soldiers who were falling and standing up again. He stretched out his arms to the front. Reinforcements will surely arrive. Everyone, follow me to defend the front. With Greninja, Meowth and his main Pokémon, Zufeng joined the battle. The King of Leaves did not leave. On that day, Dragonite took Zio away, and the King of Leaves stayed on the border battlefield with the 6 sacred birds. If there is a reason for him not leaving, it may be because the King of Leaves can't fly. Groud, politeness. You, what do you say this time, my friend? Malters looked at the thoughtful King of Leaves and took the initiative to ask. Although the gorilla's strength was not as good as theirs, they had been together on the battlefield for so long that the 6 divine birds knew how terrifying the gorilla's wisdom was. They had witnessed the famous scene where the supreme elf on the opposite side was fooled by the gorilla. Chapter 387, The King of Leaves and the 6 Divine Birds. My dear, trust me, we have to go this time. Wait, I'm a little panicked. There are too many people on the opposite side. Even if one of them pulls out a hair from you, we can't hold on. As I said, the secret realm is also open. Why don't we run away first? You're right. Let's retreat first. We have been in the secret realm for so long. We have done everything we should do. Zoom, you should not blame us. The 6 divine birds chirped and began a heated discussion. The King of Leaves remained silent, with a frown. Seeing that the brain didn't speak, Malters panicked. My dear, you speak. We brothers all listen to you. Galler Malters also quickly replied. Yes, we all listen to you. Seeing this, the King of Leaves shook his head helplessly. It's not that I don't speak, it's mainly in this situation, what I say can be useful. Let me think about it first. You guys chat. Scratching his face, the King of Leaves was also speechless. If the other side offered 1 million, it would be acceptable, but this time it was 5 million. Who could resist? What should we do? You don't know. We can't just run away, right? No. Won't Zoomus do it for us when he gets back? The frogs have been coveting my body for a long time. Articuno hugged his body with his wings, shaking to show his refusal. He'd rather die than be eaten by frogs. Toads want to eat swans. You're dreaming. Now it's the frogs' business. Shouldn't we think about what to do now? It was Galler Zapdos who realized that the topic had gone astray and quickly corrected it. Seeing that the 6 big stupid birds were looking at him expectantly, the King of Leaves felt so much pressure. Fta, where are you? The Lund family misses you. Let's do this. We can't hide anymore. Let's follow Zumu's father. We can't let Zumu's father die here. The King of Leaves still understands Zumu, and what he said hit the point. Other things don't matter. The main thing is that Zumu's father can't die. That's fine. Zapdos pinched his chin and nodded, agreeing with the King of Leaves' opinion. Don't say it. A big liar is a big liar, and he is reliable at critical moments. After figuring out the purpose of the next action, the King of Leaves began to think about how to deal with these 6 stupid birds. That's right, just deal with them. These 6 stupid birds are afraid of death and are just like that bastard Charizard. If they are allowed to go to the battlefield without knowing anything, it will definitely be a mess. It's better to arrange it in advance and then think carefully about how to do it. Whoa! By the way, do you know that Zoomu and his father have a deep relationship? Seeing that the 6 stupid birds decided to listen to him and go to protect Zufeng first, the King of Leave hurriedly called them. If these 6 stupid birds are let go, the King of Leave can't be at ease. Pre-war mobilization must be carried out. For example, display the magic of deception that has not been seen for a long time. Oh, how deep. Malters was originally going to go out and pretend to mess around, but after hearing what the King of Leave said, it seemed like there was something going on, so he quickly stopped and turned back to ask. Not only him, but the other 5 stupid birds also stopped to ask the King of Leave. What's going on? Is there a story here? Ahem. The King of Leave coughed lightly and thought to himself that it was as expected. If these 6 guys are not brainwashed properly, they will definitely mess around and run away. I am really impressed. They are obviously divine beasts, but why are they like that stupid Charizard every day? Whoa. Actually, you came late and don't know that Zoomu and his father have a very good relationship. Let me put it this way. When Zoomu was threatened, his father went straight to kill the whole family. Later, Zoomu really couldn't bear it, otherwise his father would have almost destroyed the world. So, Zoomu also respects this father very much. You know, when the 6 stupid birds heard this, they nodded like chickens pecking at rice. I know. The King of Leaves laughed secretly when he saw that they had no problem, and continued, whoa. There are things you don't know. Zoomu was originally one of 7 brothers, but later he offended his enemies, and all 6 of his brothers were killed. Only Zoomu was left, and was rescued by his father. His father treated Zoomu like a treasure, and similarly, Zoomu was the best with his father since he was a child. Do you all know this? The 6 stupid birds shook their heads quickly after hearing this. Phuket Island, the King of Leaves smiled with satisfaction. Whoa. So, you should know that Zoomu should have received the news by now and is coming to us. If he knew that we watched his father get hurt and die, would he spare us? Note, it's not you, it's us. I can't even guarantee that Zoomu can let me go. Alas, you don't need to tell me how terrifying this trainer Zoomu is. No. At this moment, the 6 stupid birds panicked. Whoa. So, I don't need to say more. You should all understand, if Zoomu comes and happens to see you trying your best to protect his father, you can guess what the result will be at that time. So, family members, why are you still standing there? Take action. Protect his father. After the King of Leaves said this, the 5 stupid birds flew away in an instant and went straight to Zufeng. It was as if they would not let Zufeng get hurt even if they died. Only Malters did not leave, and stayed in place, looking at the King of Leave with a wise face. It made the King of Leave think that his deception skills had decreased, or that he had deceived too much, and this stupid bird could be immune. As a result, the next sentence of Malters made the King of Leave doubt his life. Well, thank you, big brother. After that, Malters also flew away with the 5 stupid birds in front. The King of Leave, who was messy, was left standing there. What? I tricked you into risking your lives, and you still say thank you to me. It seems that this is really in line with the character setting in the script. Seeing the 6 stupid birds running towards Zufeng, the King of Leave began to think about what he should be busy with. After all, he is not a Charizard, and it is not his character to be greedy for life and afraid of death. Coincidentally, the opposing Rocket team got a Supreme Peak Boscadora from somewhere this time, and is on a killing spree, and no one can resist it. The King of Leave likes this kind of Rock-type and Steel-type Pokémon. Why? It's because he is stupid and easy to fool. Don't look at him as the Supreme Peak. Come on, I'll let him beat himself to death. If you don't believe me, just watch. The King of Leave, who found the target, didn't waste any words, and ran directly towards Boscadora. Damn, it's time to work. Get to work. Chapter 388. Zhuhong arrives. Let's not talk about asking for leave to Fu Boscadora. Let's look at the 6 stupid birds first. After galloping all the way and feeling Zufeng's side, the 6 stupid birds solemnly surrounded Zufeng. Dad Zoomu, don't worry, we will protect you this time. Don't be afraid. Lao Tai, we are here. Asshole, you call Dad Zoomu Lao Tai. Isn't that taking advantage of Zoomu? Stupid, Zoomu is not here anyway. If you don't say it and I don't say it, how can he know? That's right, Then I won't say it. Zhu Feng's face was full of question marks. Looking at the 6 stupid birds chirping and saying bad things about Zhu Mu in front of him, and not avoiding him, Zhu Feng really regretted that he shouldn't have coveted the combat power of these 6 beasts and asked them from Zhu Mu. When the border was closed before, Zhu Feng also had contact with them. Why did he let Dragonite send Jiu out at that time? The main reason was that Zhu Feng was worried that if these 6 stupid birds went back like this, they would easily get lost. What if Yu took the lead? Who would he cry to? It's not that he doesn't trust these 6 guys, it's mainly because their IQ is really frustrating. Ahem. With a light cough, Zhu Feng said that he was still there. The 6 stupid birds shut up and looked at Zhu Feng in surprise. They realized that their chat was actually heard by someone, and this person was Zhu Mu's father. It's over. At this moment, the 6 stupid birds felt like the sky had fallen. Well, I'll pretend that I didn't hear what you said, but you have to listen to me next, okay? Zhu Feng would definitely give these 6 stupid birds a chance for the time being. After the fight, he would tell Zhu Mu about it. Okay. The 6 stupid birds nodded in unison. Anyway, they came here to protect Zhu Feng, so there was nothing unreasonable about listening to him. And the main thing was that they were caught by someone, so they couldn't disobey. Okay, since you're so sensible, I won't waste my words. Do you see the more than 10 supreme elves on the opposite side? Your mission is to defeat them all. Zhu Feng is worthy of being an undefeated general. He thought of a battle plan almost instantly. He assigned tasks to the 6 stupid birds. Then, the 6 stupid birds hesitated. Wait a minute, Zhu Mu Dad, we are here to protect you. Malters was the smartest and realized that the first time that going to fight was inconsistent with his original intention. But soon, he was convinced by Zhu Feng. Yes, how can you protect me if you don't defeat the opponent? Zhu Feng's words made the 6 stupid birds feel reasonable. They nodded decisively, flapped their wings and rushed forward. Zhu Feng saw that the 6 of them found an opponent each and started fighting, and nodded with relief. It seems that asking the 6 stupid birds to stay was not entirely wrong. At least it can still be of some use. Unfortunately, after all, these 6 guys are not strong enough, unlike Mutuo or Infinity, who can directly ignore the difference in numbers and turn the tide of the battle. These 6 stupid birds are nothing more than intercepting a small part of the opponent's high-end combat power, changing the advantages and disadvantages of the local battlefield, and temporarily reducing the pressure on Zhu Feng's soldiers. But it is a drop in the bucket after all. Seeing rows of Pokémon falling, the roars from the trainers, Zhu Feng's heart is bleeding. Greninja, an Abra monster's long-awaited sneak attack hits the abdomen of Greninja, piercing its abdomen directly, leaving a bloody hole. Zhu Feng roared, staring at the Abra monster with red eyes. Zhu Feng wanted to go up and fight this guy himself to avenge Greninja. Meowth passed by and carried Greninja back to Zhu Feng, and then joined the battlefield again. Zhu Feng looked at the unconscious Greninja, and felt angry. However, a good cook cannot cook without rice. Although he was angry, he could not change anything. Whether it was the current battle situation or the injury of Greninja, he was powerless. After giving Greninja an emergency treatment, Zhu Feng could only let Greninja groan in pain in a coma. In this battlefield, there are many Pokémons like Greninja who are fighting against the god of death. Even many trainers. He could only watch helplessly, but was powerless to change anything. This feeling of powerlessness made Zhu Feng deeply aware of his own insignificance. He was alone, no matter how strong he was. Could he resist the opponent's million-strong army? Could he withstand the attack of Team Rocket? Perhaps Zhu Mu's idea was right. Only when the world's strength was improved could it be possible to end this endless killing. Brother, sister is here. At the critical moment, a familiar voice came from a distance. Remember that familiar voice. Remember how many years of wind and rain. I will always remember it, and I will never forget it. The familiar BGM sounded in his heart, and Zhu Feng looked into the distance in surprise. The people who came were Zhu Hong, and along behind them were nearly 10,000 king trainers. These were all trainers who were able to rush to the border as soon as possible after the incident. Sister, Zhu Feng shouted in surprise. Although there are only 10,000 reinforcements, they are still reinforcements. Zhu Hong has arrived, so how far is Zhu Mu, that brat? Reinforcements, Listen to the order. Join the battlefield in a dispersed formation, 3 people in a team, and fight separately in a small team mode. Zhu Hong ordered, because these reinforcements are all newbies with no combat experience, and she did not ask them to join the battlefield directly in a combat lineup, which would only cause trouble for teammates. It is better to play the advantages of these powerful trainers, let them fight in groups, and delay the opponent's mid to high-end combat power. Although Zhu Hong is not leading troops on the battlefield, she is also a member of the Zhu family after all, and she grew up on the battlefield since she was a child. Naturally, she will not make the same mistake as a newbie. After releasing her own elves, Zhu Hong and A Long looked at each other. He rushed directly to the several masters and supreme elves on the opposite side. Brother, don't worry. In less than 3 hours, Dao Mu will arrive with hundreds of thousands of retired veterans. That's when the battle will end. Zhu Hong said this not only to Zhu Feng, but also to the trainers who were fighting on the battlefield and were already exhausted. Hearing Zhu Hong's words, everyone became alert. Zhu Mu will be here soon. I heard it. Zhu Mu is coming. Brothers, follow me to kill. Steel Snake, hold on. Did you hear that? Master Zhu Mu is coming soon. Fuck, you beasts on the opposite side. Your death is coming. Master Zhu Mu is coming to avenge us. Ha ha ha. Master Zhu Mu is coming soon. We can finally win. Everyone cheer up. Hold on for another 3 hours. Master Zhu is on the way. Chapter 389. Zhu Mu represents victory. The soldiers who were fighting were so excited when they heard the news that Zhu Mu was coming. It's no exaggeration to say that Zhu Feng was really jealous at this moment. Damn, I'm the one who accompanies you here every day, and I'm the one who fights to the death. Why are you more excited than hearing about me when you hear about that stinky boy? What's the matter? Am I not the invincible god of war that you respect? Jealous. The arrival of Zhu Hong and others did bring fresh blood to the battlefield and improved the combat effectiveness of Zhu Feng's side. In fact, their 10,000 people, plus Zhu Hong and Dai Long, did not play such a big role in practice. The Rockets sent hundreds of generals who could fight against the invincible trainers this time. Even Zhu Hong, a trainer who has reached the supreme realm, has dozens of people. After all, it is a battle of millions of people. If the Rockets don't send some ruthless people at the bottom of the box, it will look down on Zhu Feng's side. However, even with such a luxurious lineup, the Rockets still failed to win a quick victory. After Zhu Hong arrived, the warriors on the side of the post-Elven civilization world were as excited as if they had been injected with chicken blood, and their combat effectiveness was completely improved to a higher level. It was equivalent to applying several layers of buffs, and they were directly revived with full blood. Damn it! Athena looked at the tense battle in front of her and cursed impatiently. They were about to wipe out the opponent's mere hundreds of thousands of people, but who would have thought that the opponent only had 10,000 reinforcements, so they recovered their combat effectiveness and continued to fight desperately. How can this be justified? What's the matter? These 10,000 new reinforcements are medical soldiers? Speed up the offensive. We must eliminate this enemy in front of us as soon as possible. According to the intelligence, all the defensive forces that can appear in the opposite world are only this much. As long as we defeat them, we will soon occupy that world full of resources. Athena issued instructions and observed at the same time. Where is the trainer who took Mutwa away last time? Why didn't he show up? That guy is the variable named by Boss Sakaki, and is also the main target of Athena's defense this time. At this time, the guy who Athena was worried about, who made her afraid to go all out, was meditating in Chenan College. How long has it been? Zhu Mu came out of his meditation and looked at Ilan beside him. Ilan had come to Zhu Mu at this time, ready to fight Team Rocket with Zhu Mu later. 2.5 hours. Zhu Mu slowly raised his head and sighed helplessly. There is still half an hour left. Damn Dad, hold on. Yui saw Zhu Mu's anxious face and smiled rarely. Why, you are anxious too. Zhu Mu didn't even raise his head, but just retorted, nonsense. Your father is on the battlefield. You are anxious too. Yui was instantly speechless. The phone rang. It was Kyle calling. Zhu Mu pressed the answer button. Boy, now there are 500,000 veterans who have been called back outside the border, and 2 million trainers who have come voluntarily. all waiting for you. Do you want to come over first? I know you can't sit still. Kyle's words touched Zumu's heart. He must be unable to sit still. Okay, wait for me. After leaving these 3 words, Zumu stood up directly. Everyone, let's go, including Yui. There were 13 strong men. When they heard Zumu's words, none of them hesitated and stood up. Everyone was defeated by Zumu just now, so there was no need to save face at this time. Besides, it was a critical moment. If they were to come up with conspiracy theories and play tricks at this time, they would definitely seek death. Zumu was more ruthless than his father. He was not incapable of killing chickens to scare monkeys before the war. This guy didn't care how old you were or how many merits you had, as long as you didn't listen to him and went against him. This kid would chop you. Okay. Elder Lin took the lead and expressed his support for Zumu's leadership. Having just been treated by Zumu's celebi and receiving Zumu's kindness, everyone didn't waste words at this time and followed Zumu to the border obediently. Wait, boss, I remember, Scarface Charizard and the others are still outside, Ilan suddenly said when he was about to leave Chainan City. His words reminded Zumu. Yes, there is also Charizard. Quick, tell them to go to the border quickly. Tell Scarface Charizard, I will take them to play a big game this time. Zumu slapped his thigh and made arrangements quickly. Ilan nodded, and then went straight to the secret realm of Charizard Valley, while Zumu and others went directly to the outside of the border. Seeing Lugia's appearance, the millions of trainers who came to support and waited outside the secret realm shouted Zumu's name. They are waiting for Zumu. They are cheering for Zumu. Master Xumu, let's charge in together. I can fight alongside Master Xumu. My god, this is Xumu alive. It's worth it even if I die in battle this time. Pidgeot, did you see that? That's Xumu's Lugia. That's your future goal. Looking at the crowd below, Xumu really felt the power of the people. Everyone, listen to me. Xumu waved his hand, signaling everyone to be quiet. Seeing that Xumu was about to speak, everyone hurriedly shut up and signaled their excited companions to be quiet and listen to Xumu. Everyone, thank you for coming here. Among you, there are veterans who have left the battlefield, and there are newcomers who have not yet set foot on the battlefield. Xumu is very grateful that you can come. With warriors like you in our world, we will never become a colony of evil organizations, and we will never be defeated. Because we can fall, but our spirit will be passed on forever. 100 years later, there will be a day when future generations will definitely talk about today's history and today's great victory. At that time, your descendants can proudly say that my ancestors once participated in this war. Of course, we are not going to die. There are as many as 500,000 comrades waiting for our support on the border. I, Zumu, will rescue them and bring you back safely. Everyone, are you willing to go with me on this journey? After Zumu finished speaking, there was a deafening willingness from below. The shouts were uniform and resounded through the sky. Everyone, look over there. Zumu vaguely heard the roar of the fire-breathing dragon, so he pointed his hand and led everyone's eyes to look into the distance. It doesn't matter if you look at it, whoever looks at it will be excited. In the sky in the distance, there are tens of thousands of fire-breathing dragons rushing at full speed. The leaders are the scar-faced fire-breathing dragon and Ilan. Obviously, these fire-breathing dragons are the reinforcements that Zumu called for this time. With the help of these fire-breathing dragons, why worry about not winning? Chapter 390, 1,000 Miles to Save Father. When Zumu was wearing a red cape and standing on Lugia's back, behind him were tens of thousands of fire-breathing dragons from the Charizard Valley. Below were endless reinforcements, pouring in from the transmission channel. There were more than 2 million reinforcements. Although most of them were new recruits entering and leaving the battlefield, this did not mean that their combat effectiveness was necessarily low. Under the leadership of Zumu, the morale of the reinforcements was extremely high, and they had the demeanor of martial arts fighters. Rushing into the border battlefield, they were like a group of tigers out of a cage, killing everyone they met. Dad, I'm here. Whispering softly, Zumu released all his elves in the air and joined the battle without saying anything. Father and son soldiers on the battlefield. At this moment even Zufang couldn't hear what Zumu said because he was too far away. But he also led his subordinates in a tacit understanding and began to counterattack. War's all about such opportunities and timing. The reinforcements have arrived, and the morale is high. If we don't counterattack at this time, when will we? Athena saw Zumu and showed an indescribable smile. He finally came. She had been looking forward to Zumu for a long time. I'll leave it to you this time. Taking out a black pokeball, Athena threw it. The pokeball opened in the air, a red light flashed, and a cute Pokémon suddenly appeared on the battlefield. This Pokémon has long green hair, a big head and a small body, and a pair of big eyes. It doesn't look like it's suitable for fighting at all. But for some reason, a red light faintly burst out from the eyes of this Pokémon. This light is like the light of killing, with bursts of blood. Celebi, heal all our troops. Athena gave the order, and the Pokémon quickly began to act. This scene made Zumu suddenly horrified. No, Celebi will die like this. Zumu had guessed that this Celebi was probably the one caught by Bixias. Because there was no hindrance from the protagonist, Team Rocket successfully obtained Celebi. Now it is just right to use it on the battlefield, making a disposable blood pack to restore the physical strength of all Pokémons. This is indeed the key to turning defeat into victory, and it is also a method that Zumu did not expect. However, the cost of this method is a bit too high. Haha, we have all his information and gene samples. This Celebi is now a waste. It is better to let him play the last bit of heat on this battlefield and help us solve your disaster, Athena said, and began to laugh crazily. She seemed to have seen the situation on the battlefield reversed. The Rockets won a big victory, and entered the opposite world. She seemed to have won the victory, captured Zumu, and slaughtered him at will. However, all this was just her fantasy. When the Celebi controlled by the Dark Ball began to release healing waves, overdrawing all his physical strength to start healing the Rocket elves on the battlefield, Zumu released his own Celebi at the same time. Purify him, please, Celebi. Zumu's Celebi clenched her fists, seeing that her companion was controlled by the bad guys and was about to lose his life. She rarely got angry. Rabbi, nodding in agreement, Celebi began to call the fellow controlled by the Dark Ball using telepathy. At the same time, the purification power in her body began to be released continuously, hoping to rescue this little fellow. But Celebi was still too young after all, and she was alone, so it was difficult to realize her idea. Are you there? Hello, you are controlled by the bad guys now, and you will disappear soon. Rabbi wants to help you. Celebi entered the consciousness space of Celebi controlled by Team Rocket, and called carefully. But her call was not responded to. In this Celebi's consciousness space, there was only one voice echoing, that is, I am in so much pain, I hope to be free. To put it bluntly, this Celebi now has no idea of living. He just hopes that he will die quickly, so that he will not have to suffer more inhuman torture and abuse. Seeing that the communication was fruitless, Celebi could only shake her head helplessly and exit the consciousness space. When she looked up, Celebi saw several powerful elves rushing towards her. Obviously, he received instructions from Athena and came to stop her. Keeping the release of the purifying power, Celebi turned around and shouted, "Who of you can help me?" In Zumu's team, there are some elves that cannot be offended. For example, Frog. This guy is vindictive and stingy, just like Zumu. The elves who offend Frog will definitely have a good ending. Then there is Charizard. Although Zumu always punishes him, he is Zumu. If others dare to bully Charizard, Zumu can break this guy's legs and destroy his ancestral grave. Of course, this is a more individual case. In addition to this kind of powerful and deep bond with Zumu, the most unprovoked among other elves is Celebi. As the nurse of the team, this little guy is definitely the one with the highest status. Even Frog and Charizard usually make Celebi happy. The little guy usually has a good temper, is happy to everyone, and never makes trouble. This makes it look like the little guy is easy to bully. Seeing several elves rushing towards Celebi, Celebi shouted for help. The first one to arrive was Arceus. He teleported to Celebi, looked at the first elf rushing over, and hit him on the head. "Fuck you, bullying our little cutie. Are you looking for death?" Arceus spit it out disdainfully, shook his head, changed his posture, and continued to use the collision. Bang bang bang. Kung Fu Chi, who came to attack Celebi, was so regretful at this time. Why was he so active? He had to be the first to rush up and get a fight. After being hit by Arceus again and again, Kung Fu Chi foamed at the mouth on the spot and almost died. Before he died, he looked back at the companions who came with him and suddenly laughed. It turns out that I am not the worst. Ha 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 ha. The second one to come to Celebi was Frog. He has always been fighting beside Zumu, so he is not very far away. Seeing Arceus push Kung Fu Weasel away, the Frog also took over the second Pokémon, Long-Eared Rabbit. With a turn of the swallow, the Frog grabbed the Long-Eared Rabbit's ears and pulled it away from Celebi. Then he found an open space and a strange smile appeared on his face. He grabbed the two ears of the Long-Eared Rabbit with his left hand and fixed it, and slowly accumulated strength with his right hand. Gugwa, Lushan Sheng Longba, Lushan Sheng Longba, Lushan Sheng Longba with all your strength. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 391, Dare You Touch My Little Cutie? The Frog is famous for its temper, being gentle with women. Ha! There is no such thing. Catching the Long-Eared Rabbit, the Frog went up and gave it a big electric cannon in the face. The ground was shaking with the blast. At this time, the Master Ichi was extremely glad that he ran fast. If he had fallen into the second one, wouldn't he be the one being held down and punched? Fortunately, the Frog's inhumane uppercuts continued, and suddenly there were screams one after another not far away. It turned out that Charizard was grilling again. The third guy who rushed towards Celebi was the cunning Tengu, and on Zumu's team, the third one to arrive at the scene was Charizard. Isn't this a coincidence? Charizard didn't say anything and directly gave the cunning Tengu a fire party. Roar! You are really blind. I actually met you. After Charizard stopped the cunning Tengu, he snorted disdainfully. In fact, this guy had arrived a long time ago. He was the first to come to Celebi, but he was the third to attack. He had been flying slowly, watching his opponent, and deliberately picked this grass-type soft persimmon. This is in line with the behavior of a brave and cautious Charizard. Cunning Tengu didn't expect that he would be named by a Charizard like this. Crap! Waving the tree branch in his hand, Cunning Tengu proudly said, I don't accept it. Don't pretend to be a calf. You won't know if you can do it until you fight. Then, what greeted him was the endless fire of Charizard. Whether it was the difference in strength or the attribute restrained, Cunning Tengu was no match for Charizard. This led to this guy being directly used as a barbecue by Charizard. Worried that he would accidentally burn Cunning Tengu to death and have to find the next soft persimmon, Charizard deliberately retained some strength. This doubled the length of time that Cunning Tengu was tortured. Screams floated by his ears, and Kung Fu Chi, who fell to the ground and was constantly hit by Arceus, knew it without opening his eyes. The guy who screamed was Cunning Tengu. It seems that he was really lucky. At least his scream was not as loud as Cunning Tengu's. When Blaziken arrived at the scene, Dragonite also arrived. The two brothers didn't waste time, and directly picked an opponent each to carry away. Let's talk about Blaziken first. With a kick, he kicked the Lizard King away, and then followed closely. The long-lost battlefield made Blaziken feel his blood boiling. There was endless power all over his body. Then, Lizard King was happy. Blaziken was not like Charizard, who would make your pain last super long. In Blaziken's eyes, as long as the opponent was not killed, the battle was not over. As a fighting maniac, Blaziken's attack was extremely cruel, but Lizard King was able to dodge and was fast. When Blaziken's flame spray was dodged by Lizard King with a tilt of his head, a tragic thing happened. Lizard King, who was secretly rejoicing, saw a black shadow descending from the sky, and then he felt a sharp pain in his chest. Next came the forehead, temple, neck, spine. When the vital parts of the body were in great pain, the Lizard King wanted to scream, but found that he could not scream. The combo of Flame Chicken continued. Recently, Zumu taught him a fighting technique that can beat the enemy to death without giving the opponent any breathing space. which is called infinite combo. Flame Chicken is also smart and can learn it immediately. It is just right to try it on this Lizard King today to see what it feels like to beat the opponent to death with a combo. The free full body massage experience of the Lizard King began from then on. As for Dragonite, as a top student Dragonite said that what he hates most is fighting and killing. He slapped the opponents either from the air. Dragonite looked unhappy. Yo, why do you have nothing to do to provoke our little cutie? Are you tired of living? The indignant FDA said that he was very angry, and at the same time felt sorry for this blind Scyther. Scyther was surprised. What's wrong with me? I obeyed the command and completed my mission on the battlefield. Is there anything wrong with me? Shaha, what's it to you? Get out of here if you know what's best for you. Don't get in the way here. Scyther hadn't realized what he was going to face next. Seeing that Dragonite didn't fight with him, but started to lecture him, he immediately waved his hand impatiently, signaling Dragonite to get out. Then, Dragonite laughed. Sure enough, I'm embarrassed to get angry if you don't give me a reasonable reason. Dragonite slowly lowered his head and grinned a weird smile, and a red halo began to appear on his body. Yo, welcome to the judgment. Scyther, Rampage plus Reverse Scale. At the beginning, it was the signature move. In the eyes of Shushilong, fighting is equal to being brainless. So, if you want to fight violence with violence, you must first make yourself brainless. Since you have lost your mind, how can you still show mercy? Therefore, unlike the muffled sound of the attack from the Blaziken, the battle style of Dragonite was a grand scene of the earth shattering, with mountains collapsing and the earth splitting at any time. The screams of Scyther came one after another, although there was no pattern, but the screams were indeed loud. The elves who rushed to Celebi next were in no particular order: Snorlax, Venusaur, Mewtwo, and the three Holy Clouds. Each of them grabbed an opponent and started an inhumane destructive attack. Snorlax and Venusaur need not be mentioned. They are old team members. What methods have they not seen? The way they ravaged their opponents was simply varied. It was a bit regrettable for Transcendent and beyond. One of them was not controlled and was directly beaten to death by the opponent. They had to go to other places to find some powerful opponents that were enough for them to fight. As for the three Holy Clouds, these three guys were interesting. After joining Zumu's team for so long, except for bullying Garchomp and Lucario at that time, they had never had the opportunity to engage in any actual combat and had always been at the bottom of the team. This also led to the fact that when they came to the battlefield this time, the three of them were really liberated. Oh, wait for me, you two bastards, don't let them kill you. No, these three guys are all mine, you two can't touch them. Assholes, they are mine. If they weren't worried that they would be killed by Zumu if they started an eternal conflict, Sansheng-Yun really wanted to have a park right now to determine the ownership of these three little white mice. Seeing Celebi surrounded by his group of wolf-like elves and protected, Zumu breathed a sigh of relief. As for those elves who ended up miserably, haha, who told you to be so blind that you had to offend our family's favorites? Chapter 392 Celebi Family. It should be said that Zumu's elves have tried their best. The situation on the battlefield has also changed qualitatively after Zumu, Iki and others arrived. Team Rocket can no longer attack without scruples in a siege state, and because of the addition of more than 2 million strong reinforcements with no military experience, Team Rocket's deployment has been disrupted on a large scale. For a time, Team Rocket's command terminal was in a situation where the soldiers did not know the generals and the generals did not know the soldiers. Zhu Feng also seized the opportunity and instantly reversed the situation and fought the Rockets evenly. However, how could the battle end so quickly? Although Celebi was protected by Zumu's elves, she had not completely solved the trouble she should solve. This fellow who was waiting for her to rescue was still in pain, and from time to time released healing waves and life energy, using his own origin to restore the status of Team Rocket's elves. This is also the reason why Frog and his opponents have been beaten but not killed, except for that Kung Fu Chi. This guy is a bit unlucky. Arceus's collision is a real injury that ignores all effects. If we have to say that Kung Fu Chi can also recover blood, then Arceus's ability is all-encompassing. He will be seriously injured by the collision, but he cannot recover blood. It's so unsolvable. He is set to be invincible, because he is the god of creation. Anyway, you just need to understand it. The main thing is that Arceus is too awesome, and the setting is stronger than everything. Celebi, what's wrong? Is this guy still salvageable? Zumu looked at his family's favorite sweating profusely, and asked distressedly, Robbie, I'm not sure, but my own power seems to be not enough to purify him, and he is now determined to die and completely refuses to communicate. I can't contact his ego will. Hearing Celebi use professional terms to express the current situation, Zumu was stunned for a second before he came back to his senses. Have I gotten to this point now? Origin, ego, purification at the slightest disagreement? Isn't this a big seam that only appears when the novel is about to end? It shouldn't be. I haven't even entered the elf world now. It won't end, right? Old 7, don't worry. I can still write millions of words. Who made me grow up? Then how do you want me to help you? Zumu had no choice but to ask Celebi, a professional. Then Celebi was also dumbfounded. How to help? I don't know. Well, I don't know either. Celebi pouted and looked at Zumu pitifully. Zumu was annoyed. Just thinking that Hoopa was very idle recently, he hurriedly called Hoopa. Hoopa, Hoopa, call Hoopa. Calling frantically in his heart, Zumu dialed Hoopa's number according to what Hoopa told him. What's wrong, Zumu? After Hoopa answered, he asked Zumu directly. Hearing the noise coming from the little guy, Zumu knew without guessing that the kid must be playing games again. Isn't it said that people under 18 are not allowed to play now? What's the matter? I'm not old enough. Whose identity did Hoopa use to authenticate the game account? Don't play for now, come over here. I have something to talk to you about. Zumu hurriedly pulled Hoopa back. He thought of a good way to help Celebi, but he needed Hoopa's help. Okay, then wait for me. Hoopa will explain to Little Dream first, otherwise she will blame me for betraying my teammates. After that, Hoopa hung up the phone and ran to explain the situation to Dream. Not long after, a black hole appeared next to Zumu, and then a cute big head came out. No need to ask, it's the little devil Hoopa. Zumu. Seeing Zumu, Hoopa was still very happy to stretch out his hand and greet him. Come on, the situation here is urgent. I'll make it short. The general situation is that Celebi needs your help to save another Celebi, and then she doesn't have enough strength. I hope you can summon more Celebi. Hoopa snapped his fingers. He smiled casually. It's a small problem. I'm the best at recruiting people. Look at Hoopa. As he said that, Hoopa took out a small ring, which is a personal item that has always been jokingly called the Kyan-kun circle. Start releasing skills. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. A flash of light passed, and the circle began to become dark, and then Celebi flew out of the circle. Everyone, come and help. Hoopa summoned dozens of Celebi, and then waved his little hand and called them. Robbie, what's the situation? Robbie, never mind. Let's help Hoopa. That's also a Celebi, and the one with red eyes too. It seems to be in pain. What terrible thing did he go through? Robbie, the Celebi were like happy little angels, out of tune with this battlefield. After discussing it in a flurry, the Celebi also roughly understood the situation on the scene. Without Hoopa saying more, they started to act directly. Everyone lined up and came behind Zumu's Celebi one by one. Infuse her with your energy and help her purify this fellow controlled by Team Rocket. There is strength in numbers. 1 chopstick can be easily broken, and 10 chopsticks can also be broken. No, it's off track. In short, the appearance of a group of Celebi made Team Rocket completely miscalculate. However, in just 3 minutes, everyone cleared all the violent energy and control of this controlled fellow. Rabbi, I succeeded. Zumu's Celebi saw that the bloody red in the eyes of this fellow gradually disappeared, and shouted excitedly. Seeing the group pet dancing excitedly in the air with relief, Zumu couldn't help but laugh. Sure enough, Celebi can purify all the beauty in the world. They are the symbol of purity, just like Jimmy. They are the cutest elves of nature. So, those who try to control them and use their power. Damn it. Turning his eyes, Zumu looked at Athena in the distance. Now that Celebi has been rescued, it's time to let go and have a big fight. Extraordinary, Transcend Mega Evolution, Greninja, Bond Evolution, Charizard Mega Evolution, Dragonite Gigantamax Transformation, Snorlax Mega Gigantamax, Vulpecula Mega Evolution, Leaf King Gigantamax Transformation, Blazer Mega Evolution. With a large number of Celebi as the backing this time, Zumu is more generous than ever before. All members evolve. Ouch! Feeling the Celebi constantly transmitting mental and physical strength to him, Zumu also realized what it means to be an Evo-Riche. All Pokémon, fire at full power today. This battlefield can only be dominated by me, Zumu. Team Rocket, get off my feet. Chapter 393, Team Rocket retreats. Q. What is it like to have a dozen nurses who can restore physical strength infinitely? Whoever comes will know. It's all cool. At present, Zumu is in this situation. That cool feeling is simply difficult to measure in words. Zumu now just feels that he is going to fly with joy, and he can't bear it at all. Even if he maintains all his elves for various evolutions and battles, Zumu feels that he still has the energy to do something else. For example, use wave missiles to fire infinitely and provide remote support to the team. It's cool, isn't it? Of course, Zumu is not the only big boss on the battlefield. The guy named Yui directly pulled out his 6 ace elves, 4 of which are mythical beasts. They are Latios, Lashes, Lightning Bird, and Keldeo. At the same time, Aaron also opened fire with all his strength, released his own split sky seat, Lugia, Deoxys, and his ace flame chicken. It was also a killing spree, directly splitting half of the battlefield. And Zhu Hong, this violent female devil, after seeing Zumu coming, directly threw out her trump card Melita. As the loud singing sounded, the friendly forces on the entire battlefield felt the energy coming from their bodies again, and their fighting spirit became even stronger. At this moment, Zumu seemed to be teaching Melita a song of Manjong Hong. He leaned on the railing with his hair standing on end. In terms of high-end combat power, the army of the post-elf civilization world completely crushed the Rocket team. Maybe Athena never dreamed that on the Rocket team's side, the legendary beasts were counted by the individual, and one legendary beast was enough for the Rocket team to study for a long time, and those trainers who could subdue the legendary beasts were all super treasures of the Rocket team. But now, what the hell is the post-elf civilization world? A dozen legendary beasts were created for a disagreement. What's the matter? Are the trainers who subdue gods like cabbages just jump out casually? Boss, it seems that we are going to lose. Athena sent a communication to Sakaki and briefly summarized the situation. Sakaki has gotten used to it. As a man who almost dominated the elf world, Sakaki is definitely a man of extraordinary mind. Perhaps he had already budgeted for today's failure. However, when he saw this message again, Sakaki's eyelids couldn't help but twitch. It's a bit numb. What's wrong? I just didn't expect that this disagreement would fail again. 5 million troops, just gone like that? Sakaki couldn't help but lower his head and mutter to himself. Sure enough, the people in this world grow up too fast. To be honest, he is now somewhat fortunate that he put the alliance aside and paid attention to this suddenly appeared world in advance. Otherwise, if they were allowed to develop, it would be difficult to control them easily. I know, you should retreat as soon as possible. After replying to Athena, Sakaki frowned and lit a cigar. Looking at the ceiling in the office with deep thoughts, he took a deep breath and slowly exhaled wisps of cigarettes. Call Bixias and others over. It's time for the 3 sacred beasts to act. Sakaki instructed his secretary Manorai, then put his mobile phone on the table and continued to close his eyes and concentrate. Manorai is Sakaki's female secretary, and is also the woman who often appears in the anime and is responsible for contacting Kojiro Masashi. After receiving Sakaki's instructions, Manorai sent orders to Bixias without stopping. Take the 3 sacred beasts you have captured and go to the headquarters. Boss Sakaki has a mission. Bixias, who was stationed in Golden City and confronting the Alliance, received the news and sneered. Boss Sakaki? After my dark ball is developed for a while, I'm afraid Team Rocket will be mine. Okay, I know. Bixias agreed and hung up the communication. And then a very weird smile appeared on his face. Most of the current sacred beasts of Team Rocket were captured by Bixia's Dark Ball, although they could not obey orders 100% after being captured, and there would be great side effects. but they were captured. No matter what means Bixias, used, I can be regarded as a trainer who captured God. Let's go, Bankira. Sitting on Bankira's shoulder, Bixias looked back at the endless metropolis of Golden City. He patted Bankira's head and turned to leave. He was about to go to a new battlefield. What rare elves and mythical beasts would be waiting for him there? With endless expectations, Bixias went to the Rocket Team headquarters, waiting for Sakaki's instructions. At the border, on the battlefield, Zumu was looking down and continuously firing wave missiles, enjoying the stimulation of unlimited firepower. Zhu Hong, Along, Yi Hui and others also followed Zumu and madly killed the members of the Rocket Team. Zhu Feng was completely numb. The battlefield now is completely different from his time. How to say it? It's like without a mythical beast, you are not worthy of flying in the sky. General, shall we kill them? The Rocket Team is now retreating step by step, and it is inevitable that the coalition forces will rush over. But at this time, no one paid attention to his thoughts. As the head coach, everyone was following Zumu and other strong men to charge forward. No one paid attention to the military order at all. Well, go, Zhu Feng said to his deputy general with a helpless sigh. Is it uncomfortable to be overshadowed by his son? It seems that there is no need to feel uncomfortable. After all, the guy who is flying the highest and the most handsome in the sky, riding Lugia. Did you see him? That's my son. After changing his mindset, Zhu Feng's mood instantly improved a lot. He no longer thought about being ignored, and buried his head and charged with the main force. Team Rocket was losing ground, and Athena saw that it was powerless to turn the tide. She finally sighed and waved her hand and said, "Retreat." When she came today, she was ambitious and hesitant, thinking about rushing directly to the opposite world. She even thought about which city to name after her, Athena, after occupying the opposite world. What happened? She was still too young and thought too beautifully. It was a mistake after all. I don't know how the boss will punish me when I go back this time. Athena lowered her head and sighed, and left helplessly on the tropical flying dragon. Seeing Athena take the lead in retreating, all the people in the post-Elven civilization world instantly cheered. We won! We won! Well, long live Zumu! Master Zu is invincible! We won! We beat Team Rocket back! Charge! Kill! Damn it! Let's charge together! We won! We won! We survived! Kill! The cheering trainers shouted madly, their steps moving frantically, fearing that they would not be able to catch Team Rocket's prisoners if they ran too slowly. Zumu pouted in dissatisfaction, not having enough fun yet. Just like that, retreating now? Chapter 394 Zumu, I am a good person. Seeing the rockets running away, Zumu, who was unhappy, shouted at the rockets who were running, "Run slower, I'm not serious yet. I won't do anything to you, don't be afraid, I'm a good person." Hearing Zumu's words, the rockets at this time wished they had 3 legs. At least now, how could the plague god named Zumu be considered a good person? Still have the face to say that he is a good person. What the hell? Can good people meet and get 6 god suits? Zumu's words are more like a spell to these people on the rockets. They are all afraid that Zumu will appear behind them, pat them on the shoulders, and say kindly, "Hello, friend." That's even more thrilling than a horror movie. In the air, Zumu stood on Lugia's back, watching the rockets running forward. I couldn't help but mutter in my heart, rockets are like this, how can these people have no backbone? Then who am I? I am the enemy. Why is your first reaction to the enemy to run away? Shouldn't you be brave enough to show your sword? You rockets are showing your swords at me. Come on, let's fight with bayonets. Drive carefully and ensure your physical and mental health. Seeing Zumu rushing to the front alone, leading the team to charge recklessly, Zhu Feng couldn't help but feel extremely proud. Hey, look, this is my son Zhu Feng. My Zhu family father is a hero and my son is a hero, which does not let down the reputation of our Zhu family at all. What does it matter if I am overshadowed by my son? Even if I am beaten to death on the beach by my son, I am willing. Hee, my son is good. Laughing like a weird uncle, Zhu Feng kept using ethical jokes to suppress his dissatisfaction after being overshadowed. At this time, not only Zhu Feng was looking at Zumu, but more eyes were also slowly focusing on Zumu. He was still directing the elves in the air to kill Zumu, and suddenly felt a series of hot eyes looking at him. I saw that a large group of people had gathered around me without knowing when. "Mr. Zu, please lead us back. Let's avenge the bad feelings we have had for so long." A man in the crowd shouted at Zumu. Zumu in the middle of the crowd saw the people around him and heard what the man shouted. Although he seemed very calm, his heart had already begun to fluctuate, from worrying about his father's safety just now to repelling the rockets now. At this time, Zumu's heart had already been in a state of ups and downs. Looking at the eyes of the people around him, Zumu could see sincerity in their eyes. There was also a trace of expectation. "Mr. Zu, please lead us to rush over and kill him." "Mr. Zu, do you have a solution?" "I believe Mr. Zu must have an idea." "Mr. Zu, let's go over. We can only defend but not attack for so many years. It's too aggrieved." There were more and more voices wanting to counterattack, and Zumu gradually became helpless. It's not that he didn't want to counterattack, but mainly because he really couldn't get in. The world limit is here. What can Zumu do? "Family members, don't shout. Mr. Zu can't do it either. This is not something I can do just by saying so. Although you are shouting with passion, I really can't do it." In desperation, Zumu gritted his teeth and shouted, "Everyone, listen to me." As soon as Zumu said this, the originally noisy crowd immediately became quiet. Seeing the crowd quiet down, Zumu said to the crowd, "Thank you for trusting me, Zumu. Just now someone told us to go back and attack. To be honest with you, I, Zumu, also want to go back and attack and avenge my comrades who died in the battle. But in fact, we still can't enter their world at present, because of certain restrictions. There is no solution at present. So I, Zumu, beg you to hold on for a while longer and guard the secret realm. When I find a way, I will definitely take everyone to attack the world of Team Rocket and completely wipe them out." Zumu's words were like throwing a stone on a calm lake. There was a little more restlessness in the quiet crowd, but Zumu still has to be Zumu, and his influence is here. If he says no, then it's no. Before, not much was announced about the border battlefield. So many people didn't know that they couldn't counterattack. Now that Zumu announced it, it was official. No matter how dissatisfied or complained everyone was, they didn't dare to say anything to Zumu. They could only sigh helplessly. It was a pity that they couldn't counterattack Team Rocket this time, and the hatred in their hearts was hard to resolve. "You want to invade our world? You are dreaming. When we attack again, we will definitely be fully prepared. When the time comes, you just have to watch carefully." "Hehe, Zumu, we have remembered you." Standing at the transmission channel, Athena did not forget to turn back and sarcastically said something, leaving behind the villain's standard and universal recitation of fierce words, and then left. "Zumu has a headache." This guy didn't stop after leaving, and he had to make something. Fierce words. "If you have the ability, come for real. Who is afraid of you, little bitch?" "If people from our world couldn't enter this transmission channel, you bastard, do you think I could have spared you?" Zumu cursed angrily, and then began to lead everyone to clean up the battlefield and capture prisoners. These prisoners are good things that cannot be left behind. As natives of the elf world, the prisoners know a lot of information about the elf world. Thanks to them, the post-elf civilization world can know the general situation of the other side and respond in advance. Even for some captives who have surrendered and are willing to be bribed, the post-elf civilization world can release them and help contact the elf alliance of the elf world. The two sides communicate. At the beginning, it was these captives who got in touch with the elf alliance. People from their world can enter freely, so doesn't that mean Zeoxia, Sirona, Serena and others can also go back to that world? No, Ilan tried it, and they can't go back. Zumu pinched his chin and fell into deep thought. He was more and more confused about the restrictions of the rules of this world. How are these rules set? Zumu also wanted to figure it out, but for now, he doesn't need to dwell on this matter, as Arceus's slate will be complete soon. No matter what the rules are, the alpaca can break the two worlds apart with one kick. It will only take a few minutes to counterattack the elf world and destroy Team Rocket. Of course, developing strength is the most important thing at the moment. No matter how strong Zumu is, He is just one person after all. If the post-elven civilization world is strong as a whole, then it will be truly strong. It's really good when everyone is good. Chapter 395. Go with style and come back with style. After handing over the finishing work of capturing the prisoners to Zhu Feng, Zhu Mu left first. Now is not the time for him to show off whenever he wants. After all, he was young at the beginning, and now he is tired of playing. There is nothing worth showing off. He can avoid it if he can. It is very tiring to be in the limelight, you know? Anyway, he has been in the limelight during the previous war, and the remaining miscellaneous small tasks will be left to Zhu Feng. Zhu Mu is also a man. He knows what kind of virtue his father has, and he starts to treat the symptoms and not provoke this old man casually. After leaving the secret realm, Zhu Mu saw that this exchange meeting could not go on. Let's not talk about Zhu Hong. This Yui and A Long did their best in the battle without reservation. If he finds an excuse to beat them up, there is no need. Zhu Mu is not such a bad person, don't you think? He chatted with Yui and A Long for a few words, exchanged contact information, and agreed to have a good fight when he has time. Zhu Mu took Lugia and returned to Chenin City with the Charizards. On the way, Zhu Mu also negotiated the price with Scarface Charizard. What price are you talking about? Nonsense. Of course it's the appearance fee. Charizards are not free laborers. Tens of thousands of Charizards have come out in full force, so they should be given more or less. A token of appreciation is also a token of appreciation. Scarface Charizard can say that he doesn't want it, but Zhu Mu can't refuse to give it. What is this called? This is called full emotional intelligence. I said, these resources should be enough for the growth of more than 20,000 little guys there. Thank you very much this time. Saying goodbye to Scarface, Zhu Mu was also generous. He directly took out a large amount of resources and let the Charizards carry them back. After all, they were Charizards who had fought with him, and Zhu Mu was not the kind of miser who treated his own people badly. We just have money, and the arrangements are done. You came with me naked, so I must let you return with a full load. This wave is called a win-win situation. Scarface Charizard nodded and bowed to Zhu Mu with a servile look on his face, and then led the team away. Before leaving, he did not forget to leave more than 100 fire-breathing dragons for Zhu Mu as a transport team. After all, the more than 100 new students in Chenin City had been sent here, but they had not been sent back yet. Scarface dealt with these small matters in one word: meticulous. As for whether he was meticulous or not, you have to ask the mother fire-breathing dragon. Back in Chenin City, Zhu Mu enjoyed the cheers of the people and had long been accustomed to it. Alas, sometimes the cheers are too much and it's boring. If possible, Zhu Mu really hopes that the people of Chenin City are not cheering at this time, but can change some tricks, even spray him. So, sometimes people are just cheap skins. They won't go away when they are pulled, and they will retreat when they are beaten. Let's go. I'll take you back to the Magic City. We came here in glory and won 2 first places, and now we have to go back in glory. Zhu Mu didn't say much about the border. Now he is really peaceful and his mentality is stable. He is unwilling to brag and pretend to be a calf and do those useless things. Anyway, the whole world is almost his, and these little things that can be said or not are not worth showing off, because everyone will know it sooner or later. After healing the elves' injuries and restoring their physical strength, Zhu Mu gathered the freshmen who came to participate in this competition and spoke. He is also the team leader arranged by the college after all, and his duty this time is just to bring the students here safely and then take them back safely. As for the 2 first places, what is there to brag about? As the team leader, shouldn't Zhu Mu take 2 first places? Isn't it the case that the individual champion of Shirona should be like this? Isn't the team championship of Magic City College just in line with Zhu Mu's expectations? Is this a big deal? Really not. There is nothing to be proud of. We are all adults, and sometimes we have to learn to keep our emotions under control and keep a stable mentality. In the air, more than 100 fire-breathing dragons took off together, and this spectacular scene appeared again. The contestants who have not left Chenin City are really jealous. Look at their conditions and the configuration of their college. Look at us. Thinking about it, the students couldn't help but look at the team leader beside them. Then the team leader smiled helplessly, Don't look at me. If you can win the championship, I will apply for this treatment for you next time. Haha, if you can apply for this treatment, we may really win the second place. The students retorted, if it's the second place, I can also apply for it for you. A fire-breathing dragon, who wants to ride it will draw lots to decide. The team leader is also an old pig, and he is definitely not afraid of being scalded by boiling water. The students are sour, but it doesn't matter to the team leader. This has been since the team leaders knew that Zumu could not participate in the competition as a player, but only as a team leader. They have long given up on themselves. Compared with Zumu, who can compare? Whether it's relying on fathers or abilities, it seems that there is such a big gap. Back to the college. This time the college must hold a grand celebration banquet, and then all the teachers and students of the school will come to welcome us. Liu Xiao thought happily while patting his belly. He doesn't have any big pursuits. He is satisfied with having face and having enough to eat. Of course, if the college is willing to assign a girlfriend to him, it would be even better for Liu Xiao. After all, who can complain about having too many girlfriends? You know how stingy the dean is. He will definitely spend a lot of money if we win the championship this time. It will take some effort to ask him to spend money to arrange a celebration banquet for us. The little bald head is still very sober, not as excited as Liu Xiao. He knows that this victory is mostly due to Chirona's ability. So after being with Zumu for so long, the little bald head has also seen many things clearly, and has also realized the gap in his own strength, as well as a clear and precise positioning of himself. That's right, but it depends on my boss. My boss said that there should be a celebration banquet. Even if the dean wants to save money, he can't go against the wishes of the students. Liu Xiao said, deliberately raising his eyebrows at Zumu. Zumu was speechless, and waved his hand and said, don't worry, I have seen your efforts for so long, and I will naturally satisfy you with this small celebration banquet. Little bald head, do you have any requests? After comforting the little fat man Liu Xiao, Zumu asked the little bald head. The little bald head was honest and said as soon as he opened his mouth, Captain Zu, I don't have any requests. I just want you to take time, or when you are not busy, you can guide me to fight once. Zumu agreed without hesitation, and thought it was not a big deal. In the end, this is the only request. I will satisfy you. Okay, but my guidance is very strict. You have to be mentally prepared. Chapter 396. Warmly welcome Mr. Zu back to school. Since you like being abused so much, I will help you. Really? What a strange request. Zumu laughed teasingly. As he spoke, a fire-breathing dragon flew down from the sky. He said respectfully to Zumu, roar. Mr. Zu, look, we are all ready. When can we set off? After that, he looked at Zumu with a smile. Although that smile was really ugly, it was not flattering, but after all, he showed respect for Zumu. Zumu could only try not to look at him and said to the side, then let's get ready to set off. After that, he said loudly to the students behind him, come on, let's embark on the journey back to school together. As soon as the voice fell, Zumu directly got on Lugia. He rushed out first. Lugia, let's say I will always be a mount? Question mark. I have to say that the speed of the fire-breathing dragon is fast. If these guys don't come, it may take several hours to get back to the academy. Otherwise, it's still Scarface. In the blink of an eye, they arrived above the Magic City. The lineup in the sky was a bit shocking. Just when Zumu and the others arrived above the Magic City, little did they know that the internet had already exploded. Just now, an article titled Shocking, a large number of fire-breathing dragons appeared in the sky above the Magic City again, directly ignited the internet. What happened? What happened? The fire-breathing dragons attacked the Magic City? Not really. Why use again? Question mark. At this time, people who knew about the matter began to popularize knowledge. Don't be surprised. This is the daily operation of Mr. Zu from the Magic City Academy when he returns to school. Or else, our Mr. Zu is still amazing. Ha ha ha. My friend, put away your inexperienced look. Have you seen so many fire-breathing dragons upstairs? The netizens who were just gloating suddenly broke their defenses and became depressed. Woo woo woo. I haven't seen it. The village just got the internet. Fire-breathing dragons are common, but who has seen so many fire-breathing dragons? How to say, buy one get one free for a fire-breathing dragon, a big opening promotion. People who can do such a thing are really not easy to deal with. Zoomu, the eldest son of Zoo, is worthy of being a dragon among men. If you have never seen Mr. Zoo in your life, you will be at a loss to call him a hero. So, the justice of our eldest son Zoo once again resounded throughout the country. At this time, Zoomu led everyone to the gate of Magic City College. When everyone saw the school gate, a feeling of joy suddenly filled their hearts, and a sense of style emerged spontaneously. It's exciting to follow Zoomu to pretend. So many fire-breathing dragons flying in the sky seriously affected the no-fly regulations, but no one dared to control it. Back to the college, apart from anything else, pride is inevitable. Getting closer and closer to the college, a shout appeared beside everyone's ears. Welcome Mr. Zoo back to school. Mr. Zoo has worked hard. I am willing to give everything for Mr. Zoo. Just as everyone was shouting, they saw two people coming towards them. Zoomu looked down and saw that it was his Aunt Zulu and Lilun. Lilun came out quickly and grabbed Zoomu's hand. He said to Zoomu affectionately, "Zoomu, we haven't seen each other for a long time." Looking at Lilun in front of him, Zoomu got goosebumps all over his body. Is there something wrong with this old man? Why did he suddenly become fascinated with him? Zulu, who was next to him, looked at Lilun in front of her and couldn't help feeling a little helpless. What could she say? She had nothing to say. Although the scene in front of her was still a little bit unsightly, this was indeed something Lilun could do. So, she patted Lilun on the shoulder and whispered in his ear, "Dean Lee, I understand your feelings, but tell me, are your actions a little bit unsightly?" Hearing Zulu's words, Lilun was stunned. He immediately put down Zoomu's hands and stood at attention with his chest out. Zoomu said formally, "Zoomu classmate, you are a role model of our Magic City College, and your ability is obvious to all of us. This time, you went on behalf of the school and won such a great honor for the school. I would like to thank you on behalf of the school." Zoomu looked at the man in front of him. "Are you sick? You changed your face too quickly. Just now, I was still in a state of being a dog and I am proud. How come you become like a person again?" "Forget it. No matter what conspiracy you have, I will play with you to the end." With a sneer in his heart, Zoomu said to Lilun, "Dean Lee is really too flattering. I feel that I have actually done nothing. It's all on the court. The opponent gave us this little face. Aren't we brothers in the rivers and lakes?" The people in the college just now also walked out of the door. Hearing Zoomu's words, everyone was petrified on the spot. Everyone gave face. "Give a first place." "Our Mr. Zoo, you can treat us as fools. You can also treat us as idiots. But can you not treat us as pigs? We are also capable of thinking, right? If you say this, we don't know how to communicate with you." If the championship can be given by face, then why didn't we get it by face before? Thinking in his heart, he couldn't help but smile bitterly. At this time, Lilun was broken. "Zoomu is joking. Ha ha ha. If it's about face, then it has to be about your face, right?" After saying that, he pretended to smile freely, and only he knew the bitterness in his heart. Zoomu saw Lilun in front of him, smiled slightly in his heart, and saw that he stopped talking. At this time, Zulu looked at the situation in front of him and felt a little depressed. So he took the initiative to step forward and start a topic. "Dean Lee, we can't let our heroes stand at the school gate all the time. Hurry up and let everyone in." Hearing Zulu's words, Lilun also felt something was wrong at this time. "Zoomu, this kid, went out for a while, and seemed to be smart again." It was just right to use Zulu's words to ease the atmosphere. He said loudly to Zoomu, "Welcome all the heroes back from afar. You are out there winning glory for the college. We can't let you suffer any injustice. Let's go back to the auditorium to eat first. There is a celebration banquet for everyone in the auditorium." Hearing Lilun's words, the group of students who had just arrived at the college laughed at the time. "Arranging a meal, this is great. No matter what, they are still students now. Now that the dean of a college is talking to them like this, what else can they say?" Zoomu is awesome. Chapter 397. No, just join in. Seeing that the students in front of him had no objections, he once again set his sights on Zoomu. Zoomu also noticed his gaze, and he only smiled faintly. He said to Li Lun, "Dean Li, let's go." There was no way. Zoomu now gave face to whoever he spoke to. Not to mention a dean. Even if a senior officer came here, what would happen? Seeing Zoomu speak, Li Lun quickly made a welcoming gesture. Everyone slowly came to the auditorium, only to see that the auditorium of the college was decorated extremely luxuriously. There was everything to eat and drink. As soon as Zoomu stepped into the auditorium, the students inside cheered instantly. Seeing the scene in front of him, Zoomu smiled faintly and glanced at Li Lun on the side. Li Lun quickly said, "Student Zhu, please say a few words for everyone." Seeing that everyone's eyes were full of desire, at this time, Zoomu couldn't help but feel a little happy. So, he walked towards the stage. Seeing Zoomu's actions, the crowd that was still cheering just now suddenly became quiet. Zoomu was seen walking towards the stage step by step. At this moment, a deep male voice rang in everyone's ears. "Zoomu, I like you. I want to give birth to a baby for you." Hearing this bass voice, Zoomu almost fell down. What's wrong with this world? It's okay for a man to court in public. No problem. But you confess to me in public? Isn't this asking for trouble? Looking at Li Lun on the side, Zoomu's eyes were full of doubts. "You old silver coin, aren't you waiting for me here?" Li Lun hurriedly shook his head, fearing that Zoomu would doubt him. "My ancestor, you are about to become the emperor now. How can I have the courage to trick you again? If my world ranking was not a little lower, I would have been beaten by you in this exchange competition." Thinking of this, Li Lun stepped forward and kicked the messy boy. "Have you betrayed your country or the world? You are defaming our classmate Zoomu's reputation in public, huh?" After saying that, he quickly gave a look to the dean of teaching at the side, asking him to pull this guy with a mental problem away. After scaring the child, if Zoomu gets angry, Li Lun will definitely be in trouble. After resolving this embarrassing little incident, Zoomu came to the stage. "Dear teachers, classmates, hello everyone. I am Zoomu. I also have something to say about our winning the award in this competition. In fact, it is not easy for us to win the championship of this competition. No matter which student participated in the competition, their efforts can be seen. They held up the trophy today, but they fully deserve this trophy." Perfect. Another wave of daily high-quality speeches. I said, speeches are the evolution of mankind. How can a big shot who can't speak? Zoomu feels that he doesn't like to pretend now, because there is nothing to pretend. He now likes the feeling of speaking a few words in a calm and casual manner. That, I say a few words. Just like this, right? At this time, a girl in the audience raised her hand. Zoomu also saw this girl and nodded to her, indicating that she could speak. Seeing that she was called up, the female classmate was filled with joy. She looked at Zoomu and asked, "I heard that Mr. Zhu played a big role in this border war. Mr. Zhu, can you tell us what happened at that time?" Hearing the words of the female classmate, Zoomu was stunned, but then he became excited. He likes this link. "I am so good at telling stories. Isn't this a chance for me to show off?" Is this unnamed female classmate arranged by Li Lun? No matter what, family, arrange, show. Zoomu said calmly, "No, I just participate casually." In just one sentence, Zoomu's goal was achieved. Li Lun, who was holding a wine glass, almost didn't let it go. Damn, this is an expert in pretending. Just participate casually. Normally, Zoomu may really participate casually, but who would have thought, just this one casually. Zoomu fought off the invasion of the entire world on the other side by himself. How old is Zoomu this year? At that moment, Li Lun suddenly felt that he had lived for decades in vain. Am I old? Maybe. I am not as good as a child now. It would be fine if I am not as good as him. But the key is that I, the dean, always feel that my position is not secure. The more I think about it, the more upset I feel, and the more unhappy I am. Li Lun was numb, so he simply said nothing and drank to drown his sorrows. Zulu looked at Zoomu with a look of relief below. For a member of the Zhu family, it is such a great fortune that Zoomu appeared in this generation of the old Zhu family. Little Mu is really suitable to be the head of the family. Zhu Feng lost face on the battlefield this time, and he had to rely on Little Mu to earn it back. This time when he goes back to see his elder sister, he must discuss whether the Zhu family can push Little Mu to the position. At that time, Maybe he can also benefit from it, get the position of Li Lun, the dean, and sit until little Mew graduates. Oh, who? Zhu Mew on the stage didn't know what everyone was thinking at this time, so he could only shake his head and sigh. Alas, being invincible is also a kind of loneliness. He had no idea how much of a dimensionality reduction blow he had caused to the people below the stage. Li Lun, who was drinking alone, suddenly felt that he couldn't let Zhu Mew continue to speak. What if this kid said something extraordinary and stimulated the children below the stage? Then it would be a disaster. Thinking in his heart, Li Lun immediately ran to the stage. Picking up the microphone, he laughed. He began to say to the people below the stage, "Okay, classmates, our heroes have come back from a long way and haven't had a good rest yet. Let them have a good rest first." After that, he pulled Zhu Mew and walked downstairs. Zhu Mew was also bored, so he just followed him downstairs to eat something. It was just right to taste what this celebration banquet was like and see what kind of food Li Lun, a stingy man, could arrange. Suddenly, Zhu Mew, who was holding chopsticks, thought of something and slapped the Pokeball on his waist. After eating and drinking well, he couldn't forget his friends. Cool. I, Greninja, am willing to go through fire and water for the Zoo family for generations. With a second-year introduction, Greninja stood directly on the table, swept around, and slowly smiled. Cool, brothers, let's eat. After hearing Greninja's words, the other Pokémons didn't need Zhu Mew to call them. They jumped out of the Pokeballs and went straight to the food. Zhu Mew was speechless. Fuck you, a bunch of wolves. Did I starve you? Be reserved. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 398, Zhu Mew, you become the patriarch. The battle was over, and Zhu Mew was too lazy to restrain these bastards, so he just let them make trouble. At this time, Zulu suddenly called Zhu Mew. She took Zhu Mew out of the auditorium. Zhu Mew, the ants have heard about what you did this time. You are really great. You are a member of the Zoo family. You can shoulder the heavy responsibility of the Zoo family. The ants are really pleased. The thick-skinned Zhu Mew suddenly heard the praise from his aunt and seemed a little uncomfortable. After all, these ants are really good to him. Those who understand this will understand, and those who think wrongly should go to face the wall. No, I just did what I should do. After a polite remark, Zhu Mew looked up and looked at Zulu in front of him, and suddenly felt a little unfamiliar. Is this still the little ant? In his memory, his little ant should not be so serious. Zulu saw Zhu Mew's expression and knew that the boy had some guesses in his heart. I only heard her say to Zhu Mew, "Zhu Mew, don't panic, Auntie just has something to say to you. Since your grandfather passed away, our Zoo family has indeed declined. Whether it's your father or your aunties, everything we do is to revitalize the Zoo family. It's a pity that our generation. There are 7 daughters, and only your father is a male. Alas, originally we thought this time would be very long, but your appearance. Let us see that this day is not far away." Hearing Zulu's words, Zhu Mew was a little shocked at this time. He understood what it Zulu meant. "Auntie, isn't it a good thing to do this? After all, I promised Sironin not to mess around." However, seeing Zulu's serious expression, Zhu Mew didn't dare to say much, and could only nod obediently. "Auntie, don't worry, I will definitely work hard. Our Zoo family will definitely rise again." As he spoke, he looked at Zulu with a firm look in his eyes. Looking at his nephew's serious face, Zulu once again showed a relieved smile, and slowly said, "Stinky boy, your father, your aunts and I only hope that you can marry more wives. Do a good job of expanding the Zoo family. This is what we hope for the most." Zulu's words instantly made Zhu Mew's head black. Sure enough! These ants of his own don't study anything. They just study how to let him marry a wife, expand the branches and leaves. Seeing Zhu Mew's look, Zulu felt a little funny in his heart. No matter how powerful Zhu Mew is, he is always a child in front of them. No parent doesn't want their children to be unhappy, But the current situation of the Zhu family can only make them push this child out. Because this child is really excellent, the achievements that Zhu has achieved cannot be achieved even by an adult. Looking at Zhu now, Zulu said to him earnestly, Zhu, after a while, you can be ready to accept the Zhu family. The Zhu family needs you too much. You must lead our Zhu family back to the peak. Looking at Zulu's serious face, Zhu was numb. Wait, did I misunderstand something? Didn't you ask me to have children? How can I inherit the Zhu family? Am I going to take the position of the head of the family from my father? No way. I thought you were serious with me, but you were joking with me. Now I'm joking with you, and you're suddenly serious? Of course. Although he was shocked, Zhu still straightened his chest. Don't worry, Aunt, I'm also from the Zhu family. Although my father didn't care about me much, but no matter what, I'm a member of the Zhu family. Zhu family affairs are my affairs. If I become the head of the family, I will definitely bring our Zhu family back to the top, even to a higher level. Hearing Zhu's words, Zulu actually felt a little tearful at this moment. Zhu is still a child. When other family children were as old as Zhu, they were all living a life of debauchery. But Zhu, he is working hard for the prosperity of the Zhu family. It's all because of his eldest brother, who is so useless. For such a long time, the Zhu family has not been revitalized. I dare not say it openly, just understand it. It's really disappointing. Thinking in her heart, Zulu is more convinced of her idea. She wants Zhu to be the head of the family. Only Zhu can lead the Zhu family to glory. Feeling that she has explained everything she should explain, Zulu said to Zhu, Aunt has said everything she should say to you. I'll go back first. Zhu looked at his aunt's back. He thought to himself, Zhu family, Zhu, am here. This time, let me lead you to glory again. Zhu walked back to the auditorium and just entered the door. Li Lun saw Zhu who had just come in. He rushed up and walked to Zhu's side. He said to Zhu, Mr. Zhu, you are finally back. Hey, where is Professor Zhu? Hearing Li Lun's words, Zhu asked in confusion, what's wrong? Dean Li, is there anything else? As for my aunt, she is a little tired, so she went back to rest first. Hearing Zhu's words, Li Lun was obviously relieved at this time. He said to Zhu, it's okay. I'm just afraid that you will go back. Ha ha ha. Since you didn't leave, let's continue to play music and dance. Looking at Li Lun in front of him, Zhu was speechless. What the hell is this guy holding back? Wearing small glasses to ask about my aunt. It seems that he is full of culture. Not a good thing. Zhu glanced at Li Lun lightly, too lazy to say more, shaking his head and leaving. Finding a seat again, Zhu sat down. It's time to start eating, and he is indeed a little hungry. Don't say it. It can be seen that Li Lun really bleeds for the meal in front of him. These delicacies, whether it is the taste or the dishes, are top-notch. Seeing those bastards and his family fighting hard with the food, one by one, they imitated Arceus and fought madly with the food in front of them. Looking at the students who were also wolfing down the food, who seemed to be from the village, Zhu subconsciously restrained his eating posture, wanting to be elegant and graceful. While eating, a brilliant idea suddenly appeared in Zhu's mind. Yes, he wanted to make trouble again. Don't ask why there was this word again. Looking at the freshman who had just won the championship, and then looking at the senior classmates who looked old-fashioned, a plan emerged in Zhu's mind. Zhu swept his eyes across the auditorium and found Li Lun, who was smiling and drinking happily. He shouted to him, Dean Li, please come here. Chapter 399. Our college needs reform. Li Lun was still drinking and singing to celebrate the victory of Magic City College. He really didn't have any other thoughts this time. Li Lun was completely convinced by Zhu's ability and strength. This celebration banquet was just for the purpose of celebrating. By the way, I would like to remind everyone that he is still the dean of Magic City College. Suddenly hearing Zhu calling him, Li Lun quickly put down his wine glass and trotted over. Mr. Zhu, here I come. Zhu looked at Li Lun in front of him and said to him meaningfully, Dean Li, what do you think? Should our college be reformed? Reform, huh? Reform? Li Lun, who was confused, looked at Zhu in front of him and said dully, yes, our school needs to be reformed. Zhu said confidently. After hearing Zhu's words, Li Lun, who was still confused just now, suddenly reacted. He immediately said to Zoomu, "Yes, yes, yes. Our college needs to be reformed. For the long-term development of our college must be reformed. I wonder if Mr. Zoo has any better suggestions." Zoomu saw Li Lun's performance, and an expression of "you are smart" appeared on his face. "Okay, you old silver coin are so sensible now? Your emotional intelligence has improved so quickly. Did you secretly attend some tutoring classes? For the development of our college will develop a fighting mode in the future. Look at these freshmen around you now. They just won the championship from outside, which should have been a good situation. But it is precisely because they just won the championship that we can't let them be proud and complacent. So we launched a duel mode. This not only allows them to experience the feeling of failure, it also allows them to hone themselves in failure." Li Lun was not a fool, and he heard Zoomu's explanation. In an instant, Li Lun understood everything. It must be said that Zoomu's duel mode is extremely wonderful. He was originally worried that these children had just won the championship and were afraid that no one could suppress them. This time it's good. Even if you do well outside and return to Magic City College, you are still freshmen in the end. Don't be too proud. It just so happens that I am embarrassed to say that Zoomu's idea is good. It is just right for their seniors to help these freshmen grow. In just a moment, all the plans appeared in Li Lun's mind. Zoomu only needs a suggestion to throw out a brick to attract Jade, and Li Lun will complete the idea by himself. It should be said that this business ability is indeed outstanding, otherwise how can he be the youngest dean? At this time, Li Lun strode onto the stage and picked up the microphone. "Classmates, first of all, I am very happy that you have achieved such good results in this competition. We can see everyone's efforts. In order to make everyone better progress, after discussion with the college leaders, we have decided, from today, our Magic City College will undergo a reform. Some students may ask, what do we want to reform? I hereby announce the school's decision. From today, our Magic City College will have a duel mode. This duel mode has just appeared. Now it is only for freshmen and seniors. Let our classmate Zoomu explain it to everyone." Little did they know that as soon as Li Lun finished speaking, everyone in the audience was shocked. Duel mode. It is easy to understand, but no one knows what this duel mode is like. What if the seniors want to use the duel mode as a shield to teach the freshmen a lesson? This is all bad. After all, in this competition, the freshmen won the championship for such a long time since the establishment of the school. There will definitely be people who are unhappy with the freshmen and come to find trouble. Although they are not afraid of the seniors, but there are too many things to do, so they still have to make a fuss. Just at this time, Zoomu walked onto the stage and took the microphone that Li Lun handed to him. "Classmates, this time the duel mode is easy to understand. That is, freshmen and seniors can duel each other. But everyone should pay attention. Why do we choose freshmen and seniors for the duel mode? I am worried that you, the freshmen who have won the trophy, will not know how high the sky is and how deep the earth is. But some students will say, what if you don't want to accept the duel? Let me tell you, when you are unhappy with the seniors, this mode allows you to hit me hard. When you don't want to accept it, you can refuse it if you are called by the seniors." Hearing Zoomu's words, the audience under the stage exploded. Although this duel mode is very unfriendly to freshmen, but people with discerning eyes can still see it. This time the duel mode is completely for the good of freshmen, and this mode is likely to be the work of the person on the stage. The ability of that person is not as simple as it sounds. At this time, Zoomu was about to speak again, and he pressed his hand down. The people off the field instantly quieted down, and Li Lun next to him felt that it was so difficult for him. He had never experienced such treatment. He was indeed the son of the Zhu family. "Don't worry, I was the one who brought up this duel mode. If anyone dares to use the duel mode to bully you, just come to me, Zoomu. I want to see if there is really someone who is so brave that he dares to make trouble on my head. As for those who can't beat others and still go to make trouble, don't blame yourself for not being as skilled as others. I will never be partial." As soon as Zoomu's voice fell, thunderous applause rang out again off the field. Zoomu's words really gave people a lot of ambition. These freshmen were brought up by Zoomu. No matter what time, Zoomu is their confidence. Since Zoomu said that it is okay to fight, then this mode can be accepted. Not only accepted, but also make a name for it. Zoomyu looked at the performance of the people off the field, and his heart was unusually calm. At this time, a voice from the audience rang out. "Student Zoomyu, what if our seniors are bullied?" Upon hearing this, Zoomyu almost laughed out loud. Zoomyu said calmly, "You are a senior, you can still be bullied. Why are you still going to school? Go home and sell sweet potatoes." Zoomyu's words made the senior student blush. Li Lun's face turned black. He cursed in his heart. Where is this kid from? It's really amazing. A senior dares to say what if he is bullied? What can I do? I might as well go home and sell sweet potatoes and find a factory job. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.